What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories.
8BD. Chapter 176. The world is in an uproar. Dover's ultimate goal. Advertisement. The scenes in Marineford were clearly spread all over the world through the video phone worm. Immediately, there was an unprecedented uproar in the world. The world's strongest Whitebeard, Marine Marshal Sengoku, Kaido, and so many powerful players together did not destroy the birdcage. Unbelievable. I suspect that my eyes have hallucinations. How did that man do it? No matter how he does it, the name Joker, Doflamingo, will be a nightmare in the world from now on. Sabayati Archipelago, Pluton Rayleigh, the left and right hand of a generation of One Piece, almost looked silly. Earlier, Rayleigh learned that Ace was too late to be able to go to the top of the war. Fortunately, Whitebeard and Shanks were there, together with the revolutionary army that suddenly appeared, successfully rescued Ace. Just as a happy smile appeared on Rayleigh's face. That man named Doflamingo actually launched Birdcage, a birdcage that can't be destroyed even with the power of Whitebeard and Sengoku. In Rayleigh's heart, a monstrous wave surged. At this time, it is not only Ace who was in danger of life, but everyone including Marine, Pirates, and Malinfin 11. That Doflamingo used to be just a little pirate. In the last era, Dover at that time was still running around the world chased by cranes. In the eyes of top powerhouses like Rayleigh, it is naturally not a big man. But the more so, the greater the shock that Dover gave Rayleigh at this moment. Rayleigh's gaze swept over the figures of Garp, Whitebeard, Sengoku, Kong and others on the screen, and he couldn't help but sigh deeply. Roger, the old man thought that after you died, no one in the world could surpass you. Unexpectedly, there are people who have done what you couldn't do. Roger, the old man has to admit that the man named Doflamingo even surpasses you. New World, Dressrosa. The cadres of the Donquixote family have also been paying close attention to the situation in Marineford. When they saw their young master, who was using his own strength to contend with so many strong men, all of them couldn't help but knelt down with their bodies trembling. Young master, the eternal king, the invincible king. The family cadres headed by Torpal were full of infinite awe and piety. And the women of Dover are of course also here. The lovely Sugar is full of admiring little stars at this time. Monet's skin race snow, and his beautiful face is full of sacred light. Advertisement. Viola's attractive red lips pressed tightly. Baby 5 was about to cry with excitement. The only Robin who seems calm, his heart is full of endless complexity. Marine, who had chased her for more than 10 years, was forced to this point by that man. Dover, thank you. You must be safe. The first half of the Grand Line, Alabasta. In the middle of the endless desert, a huge gap was opened on the ground by some kind of mighty force. And looking from the gap, the first thing that impressed the eye was the deep darkness that the sun couldn't penetrate. In the depths of the deep darkness, a behemoth whose outline can only be seen vaguely lay across there. It is ancient weapon, Pluton, who has the name of God. On Pluton's deck, there was a pretty little figure standing. She has big sapphire eyes, long sky blue hair, and slender legs. She is as cute as a porcelain doll, but at the same time, she is still rippling with an ultimate dark color. It looks like the queen of the dark elves. This woman is not Vivi who ate the real dark fruit, but which one is it? In Vivi's hand, there is also a video phone worm, live broadcast of the scene of Marineford. When Vivi saw that Marineford's pirate and Marine dared to attack Brother Dover together, a trace of cold killing intent passed through the big sapphire eyes. They want to hurt Brother Dover, it's really bad. Vivi pursed her red mouth and snorted coldly. Ming, we must make them look good later. In the endless darkness, there is clearly no one, but there seems to be a vague voice. He turned his gaze back to Marineford. People found that the combined force could not bring any harm to Birdcage, and they couldn't help showing despair in their eyes. Just kidding. Such an attack won't work. What else can ruin this black birdcage? We are going to be trapped here. Despair is spreading. Although Sengoku wanted to boost morale, he had nothing to say. Because now he felt a sense of powerlessness in his own heart for the first time in his life. Not only did Haki cover Birdcage, but also Seastone. Sengoku clung to Dover in the sky, his voice trembled with anger. Advertisement. Doflamingo, you are so ruthless. As for Kaido, after hearing Dover's explanation, he was even more stunned. The Seastone craft from Wano-kuni. Kaido lifted a rock and hit his own foot. No, I just smashed my own head. Just when Kaido's intestines were about to turn blue, Dover's voice came again. By the way, Kaido, you probably don't know yet. Wano-kuni is no longer your domain now, but mine. What did you say? Kaido's eyes widened to the limit. After hearing Dover briefly talk about Shaozi and the samurai, Kaido's heart was hit hard, and a mouthful of blood came out, almost fainting. Kaido boss. Jin and Quinn hurried to help. Kaido barely gasped, and let out a scream of hatred to his bones. Joker, Lousy is at odds with you. Dover smiled lightly when he heard the words. Kaido nowadays, what qualifications does it have to be at odds with himself? Doflamingo 273. At this time, a voice rang out, but it was Shanks with red hair. Shanks stood with his sword, his heavy eyes nailed to Dover's body unblinkingly. I want to make sure of one thing with you. Shanks took a deep breath and explained his conjectures about the chaos of the world and the current situation for more than a year. You should have been planning for this moment very early. You are in the dark world, using the identity of the dark middleman, Joker, to sell weapons on a large scale, making the world war endless. You are deliberate, and you do not hesitate to fight Hawkeye to capture dark fruit, and you don't know where you know that Blackbeard Teach is eager to get dark fruit. You can use this as a bait to make Blackbeard kill Sachi and betray the Whitebeard pirates. Ace went to hunt down Blackbeard and was arrested by Marine and to be executed publicly. This incident is destined to cause a war between the Whitebeard pirates and Marine. And this is your purpose. You formed an alliance with Kaido, and you got the ant. Ostensibly you want to take this opportunity to eradicate Marine. But in fact, you are to bring Marine and 4 emperors together, and then use some means to kill all of us and clear all obstacles to your dominance of the world. Your ultimate goal should be to rule the world and become the king of the world. After talking so much, the red hair gasped again, and then said in a low tone, almost every word. Am I right, Doflamingo? Chapter 177 I am the savior who destroys the world. Advertisement. The sudden words of the red hair caused a shocking wave. People's eyes widened, and they couldn't believe their ears. Is everything that the man has planned for now too absurd? The existence that can be calculated to this level is not a man at all, but a god, okay. To know. The plan described by Hongfa involves the 2 most powerful forces in the sea, Marine and 4 emperors. These 2 forces, no matter which one, cannot be arbitrarily controlled by people. As long as any party has other ideas, the current situation will not be formed. This means that if the plan is really made long ago, then any part of the plan must not go wrong. Otherwise, all will fall short of success. How can such a plan be guaranteed to be successful? It's impossible, unless it is a god who can foresee the future. Redhead boy, what you said is a bit sensational. Whitebeard was the first to question. After all, if what Hongfa says is true, isn't Whitebeard a pawn in the opponent's plan? I know what I said is hard to believe. Even myself, I actually don't want to believe that it is true. The red hair speaks heavily. However, this is the best possible guess based on the information obtained over the past year. Whitebeard's heart was shocked. Although he is called the red-haired boy, he also knows that a man like red-haired can't talk about it. To say this place, the most agree with what the red hair said, I am afraid it belongs to Sengoku. Sengoku had a feeling early on that there seemed to be a pair of black hands pushing behind all this. Judging from the clues he knew, it happened to correspond to what the red hair described. This is by no means a coincidence. A wry smile appeared in Sengoku's heart at the same time as a sigh of shock surged in his heart. It's in vain to call me the resourceful general. I was smart, but I was blackmailed by Doflamingo twice in a row, and I was calculated to this point without noticing it. Above the sky, Dover raised his eyebrows after hearing the words of the red hair, a little surprised. Redhead has even sorted out the outline of his plan based on some clues. Among them, I am afraid that Beckman's credit is indispensable. But, Redhead still thinks about his plan, it's too simple. What he wants is not just the life of the 4 emperors and Marine. Howl. Advertisement. Dover gave an inexplicable, deep smile, and his eyes flashed with unpredictable light. He stands with his hands behind him, surpassing all beings. This is a self-evident gesture. This is a strong man standing at the top of the world, disdaining to explain too much to all living beings. It seems that my guess is true. The red-haired voice was rather deep. Although Dover did not answer, it was a tacit answer. People's hearts are shaking more than ever. The strongest Whitebeard, Kun 4 emperors facing the sea, Marine and world government that ruled the world for nearly 1,000 years, as well as the revolutionary army hidden in the underground, all the big men and big forces in the Megatron world are all that man chessboard chess pieces on board. Gudong. People can't help swallowing saliva bit by bit. Looking up at the man above the sky, his gaze seemed to be looking at God, and his heart was shaken. Is he really a god who can predict the future? Boom. Suddenly, Marineford shook suddenly, and the birdcage wrapped around it began to shrink toward the center. Where it's been, whether it's a marine, a pirate, or a majestic building, it's all cut into pieces. Ah, help me, hi, my foot is cut off. I don't want to die. Because they just attacked Birdcage, many people were too close to Birdcage and were caught off guard and were directly divided by the line. In just an instant, thousands of people died in violent deaths. The blood stained the earth and the surrounding sea. Ah, flee, run away. The rest of the people turned pale and backed away frantically. This bloody and extremely chaotic scene is far more irritating to people's eyeballs than the red-haired narration. Even people from all over the world who were so far away from Marineford can't help but reveal the color of panic. Doflamingo is about to do it, he is going to kill everyone. Demon, bloodthirsty demon, even the king of the underground world was frightened. Madman, Joker is a madman. Kill all the Marine 4 emperors, how can we do business? Joker is a devil in human skin. On Marineford, those top powerhouses also look abruptly. Aokiji couldn't bear it, watching the blood soak the ground. Advertisement. Is this the change you were talking about? Hey, killing everyone is indeed a change. Hawkeye's expression is complicated. He was defeated by Dover's swordsmanship and was convinced by what he said was the surging tide of the times. It's just that this wave is so heavy that even his Hawkeye can't bear it. Aunt Kaido, Mustache Quinn yelled in fear. Boss Kaido, think of a way. Otherwise we all have to die here. Kaido is still overwhelmed by Wanokuni's fall. Joker, you damn B**************, D, Lousy will definitely break you into pieces. The ant's sharp voice said, Go out first and talk big, Kaido. Whitebeard sighed. Marco was no longer as leisurely as before, and asked anxiously. Father, what should we do? Whitebeard's face sank like water. That birdcage is made by Seastone. Even if his ability can destroy the world, it has no effect on Seastone. After a long time, Whitebeard said, I will find a chance to sink Marineford to the bottom of the sea later, and you will find a chance to escape from the sea. This is the last resort. Whitebeard can only hope that birdcage will not include the seabed. Sengoku heard Whitebeard's words and knew that Marineford would not be spared anyway today. The boundless anger is boiling in the chest. Could it be that the Marine headquarters, which has been standing in the world for hundreds of years, will be destroyed by life in the hands of his Sengoku today? Sengoku's pupils were stained with bloodshot eyes, and suddenly he let out a loud roar. Joker, Doflamingo, are you really going to turn this world into hell? Earth, Jiao Jiao prison. Dover couldn't help laughing, the bigger he smiled. Isn't the world always in hell? The superb celestial dragon's corpse position vegetarian meal, cruel and brutal, plunder the world. And you Marines who claim to be righteous are willing to be the running dogs of celestial dragons. What is the difference between celestial dragons? You are just a group of dog slayers who do hegemony in the name of justice. As for the four emperors, they are nothing more than clowns who rule one side and dominate for a while. On the way to New World, I don't need you assholes. Dover spread his arms, his expression was indifferent and awe-inspiring, and his voice was loud and shocking. The new world needs to be built on the ruins of the old world, and the wave of changes in the times needs blood to accumulate. But me, Donquixote, Doflamingo, he is the savior who destroys the world. Weekly ask, is there anyone reading this book? After asking for the data for a few days, no one took care of it. The author is so flustered. Chapter 178 The Nature of the World, the strong who will not wait to die. Advertisement. The savior who destroyed the world. This extremely absurd tone immediately stunned the whole world. People all over the world stared blankly at the man who looked like a boundless and mighty man on the screen. Is he a demon or a god who saves the world? People are lost in confusion. Because what the man said is pretty good, the world has always been in hell. Celestial dragons dominate and treat all other people as lowly inferior people. Especially in recent years, the heavenly gold has doubled several times, and people are miserable. Countless poor families have been killed because they can't pay the heavenly gold, or they went to the street to beg and were starved to death. In addition, the age of the great pirates is coming. The pirates are the same as celestial dragons after all. They don't produce, and the only way for them to survive is to plunder. Pirates of the four emperors and Shichibukai levels looted a country or even several countries, the big pirates looted the little pirates, and the little pirates can only plunder the unarmed civilians. Big fish eat small fish eat dried shrimps. This is the essence of pirate world. Even if it is like a pirate with a conscience like Whitebeard, but in such a big environment, its existence itself is destined to be one of the main culprits that causes the world to become more chaotic. Such a world, what is it if it is not hell? At the same time 277. The Fishman Island Kingdom deep in the sea. King Neptune and his family are also watching the unprecedented battle on the ground. Because the Fishman Island is now under the protection of Whitebeard, at first Neptune and others naturally stood on Whitebeard's side. However, after hearing what Dover said, Neptune and others fell into silence. If this world is hell, then the Fishman Island is more equivalent to living in the dark. They were discriminated against by humans on land, captured by pirates, put up for auction on the auction floor, and became slaves to be manipulated by others. Among them, the mermaid's situation is the most worrying, because celestial dragons likes mermaid slaves the most. Okay, well said. I've spoken out all the feelings in my heart that I don't know how to express. Jay Ran, Neptune's eldest son, Shark, was full of excitement and roared happily. The other two sons also echoed. Yes, it's rare for humans to have such a broad vision. Even Daddy Whitebeard can only protect Yurdao for a short time. If you want to never be harmed, you can only kill those who harm the world. The scene was reversed in 2 levels, and the sons of Neptune all fell to the man named Doflamingo in an instant. And Neptune's only daughter, the mermaid princess Shirahoshi, looked at Dover's figure with big eyes with admiration and a hint of timidity. That lord, although it looks terrible, but Shirahoshi didn't know how to describe the feeling inside at the moment. Advertisement. However, if that adult encounters something in the future, Shirahoshi will definitely help him without hesitation. South Blue. Inside a casino. The casino was full of enthusiasm, but at this moment, even a needle can be heard quietly. The gamblers held their breath and looked at the screen broadcast by the phone bug in the casino without blinking their eyes. This is a war that will bring about tremendous changes to the world. Even those gamblers who are drunk and don't care about the world can't help but shake their minds and tremble all over. Among these people, there is a strange guy. He was wearing a purple coat and a simple face, with a stick-like knife leaning on his legs, and both eyes and pupils were white. He was obviously a gambler, but he was actually blind. This person is impressively a gravity fruit ability, and Fujitora, who was promoted to Marine Admiral in the original world conscription, smiles. While everyone else is watching the screen, Fujitora is eating mustard wheat noodles. JD, Fujitora's ear moved, and the chopsticks in her hand couldn't help but pause. Savior who destroys the world. Really shocking worldly remarks, Master Heavenly Yaksha. ... Marineford. Sengoku only felt his throat dry for a while. He wanted to refute Dover, but his chest was blocked and he couldn't say a word. What kind of virtue celestial dragons is, he Sengoku knows nothing better. Garp's expression on his face also became extremely complicated. Originally, he thought that Dover was just a very deep, unscrupulous and ambitious man, but he did not expect that B-Bad could see the world so transparently. And the methods used are violent and bloody, but it has to be said that it is also a way to change the current world. Needless to say, Aokiji and Hawkeye, they finally understand what Dover once said about the change of the times. Whitebeard, red hair is also calm. This man, I still underestimate him. A wry smile appeared on the red-haired face. He guessed Dover's plan, but didn't guess Dover's real intentions. Fu, Whitebeard took a deep breath, and said in a tone that only when facing Roger. That man does have some truth, dare to do what the world dares to do. But, Whitebeard suddenly raised the cloud cutting, and the terrifying shock wave converged on the blade. The old man can't let my dear sons die here anyway. Next moment, Whitebeard slashed in the direction where Dover was. Click. Advertisement. The atmosphere was instantly torn apart, and the terrifying shock blasted towards Dover. The whole Marineford shook violently. The ground cracked and the building collapsed. If there were a few more attacks like this, Marineford would not be far from sinking. Boom. As for the shock wave blasting towards Dover, when it hit Birdcage, the smoke disappeared. Dover's eyes were indifferent. He knew that with just a few words, he wanted these top powerhouses to give up resistance. It was impossible. Sure enough, after Whitebeard took the shot, Kaido and the ant, who had been extremely angry, went mad. Joker, take back your nonsense. Why don't you die if you want to die? Kaido roared and turned into a blue dragon. Dragon roll. The dragon hovered, roaring and dancing frantically. A huge tornado swept across Marineford and hit Birdcage. What? However, because the tornado was too wide, many pirates and marines were affected and screamed. The ant was also crazy, holding Zeus in one hand and Prometheus in the other. Thunder and fire crit, endless thunder and flames, crashing down. There was a huge explosion on Marineford. I don't know how many people were killed or injured in the thunder fire. Seeing this scene, the expressions of Sengoku and Kong were instantly pale. If this continues, Birdcage hasn't come over yet, everyone will be killed by these two lunatics. And Whitebeard, who was determined to sink Marineford into the sea. The two knew that the situation had reached the most serious point, and if they were allowed to continue like this, Marine would really perish. Kong Sky's path. There is no other way, call those old guys, after all, we are all here to protect them. Sengoku nodded, and once again took out the purple gold phone worm from his sleeve. Above the sky, Dover noticed Sengoku's actions, his eyebrows were raised slightly, and the corners of his mouth raised a sneer. Can't help but call 5 elders at last. Are the 5 old immortals coming to Marineford too? Or, the hidden deep Yim-sama, will he get off the court himself? Chapter 179 5 Elders, where is your master? Advertisement. The Holy Land Mariajoy, built on the red line behind Marineford. Now, 5 elders is having afternoon tea leisurely. It seems that the war at Marineford has nothing to do with them. Sengoku's good news, it should be its time to come. The old man holding the sword said lightly. Yeah, no difference, it's about time. The other 4 people nodded. After dispatching the secret weapons of Kong and the government, 5 elders was as calm as it is now, and no longer worried about the situation in Marineford. Because, in their view, the government has deployed so many forces that even the hidden combat power has been exposed. Then even if the enemy is 4 emperors, there is no possibility of losing. 5 elders still trusts the strength and abilities of Kong, Sengoku and others. In fact, if there is no Dover, with Marine's current strength in Marineford, it is indeed sufficient to compete with the 4 emperors, and there is almost no possibility of losing. Pudong pudong. The phone worm rang suddenly. Oh, it's coming after all. The old man holding the sword showed a smile on his face and connected to the phone worm. Sengoku, how's it going? Did Roger's son of One Piece be executed? Those 4 emperors who were overwhelmed by their power, beat them back, right? There was a moment of suppressed silence from the phone worm. What happened? 5 elders immediately felt something was wrong. Sorry, sir, things are not what you think. Sengoku's difficult voice came. We failed, and the 4 emperors also failed. We are all trapped in Doflamingo's birdcage. Click. The jade porcelain teacup fell to the ground and broke into pieces. 5 elders was dumbfounded, and shouted in disbelief. What did you say? Sengoku, you say it again. Sengoku briefly recounted the situation in Marineford. How could this happen? 5 elders all petrochemicals. That traitor, how can he have such a powerful strength? Incomprehension, doubt, and loss filled their minds. Now is not the time to think about this. The bald old man with a mustache said loudly. You must find a way as soon as possible, and must not let that traitor's conspiracy succeed. Hurry up and tell Master Yim, this matter has exceeded our ability limit. Advertisement. Yes, go tell Master Yim. 5 elders hurriedly stood up and rushed to the mysterious Lord Yim, no longer calm and leisurely. 5 people came to a spacious, magnificent and extremely luxurious palace. At the top of the palace, there stands a huge scarlet throne. It symbolizes the checks and balances of power in the world, and symbolizes the so-called equality of all. And on the scarlet throne, there was a tall figure hidden in the dark. Master Yim. 5 elders was like a servant, kneeling on the ground. Something big happened outside. For a long time, a majestic and unpredictable voice came from the scarlet throne. What? 5 elders hurriedly explained the dangerous situation at Marineford. Stop talking. Hidden in the darkness, the pupils of Yim's spiral pattern suddenly shrank. Are you from the Donquixote clan? I am recalled more than a year ago, he had a feeling of anxiety. There is a king awake. Therefore, Yim ordered to eradicate all existence related to the king. Sengoku must publicly execute Ace, the son of One Piece, which is also one of the reasons. At first, I'm also thought that the awakened king should be the son of One Piece. But now it seems that he was wrong, terribly wrong. The Donquixote clan is also the founder of the world. It is an ancient king. Im's eyes were secretive. It seemed to have traveled through time and space, and landed on the stalwart figure above Marineford, like an emperor. The awakened king, is it fulfilled in him? Im couldn't be sure yet. So he asked 5 elders to bring the videophone worm and connect to Marineford. Im wants to see with his own eyes what kind of character Donquixote Doflamingo is. At the same moment in Marineford, Dover's heart beat slightly, and suddenly he felt prying. Dover's eyes closed involuntarily and looked in Mariajoy's direction. In fact, Dover's other purpose of launching this war was to force the mysterious Imam and Mariajoy's whole cards. Celestial dragons have been able to dominate for so many years, the world government can stand for nearly 1,000 years without falling. Without whole cards, Dover would not believe it. Finally can't help but show up. Dover murmured in his heart. At the same time, Sengoku also received a call from 5 elders, asking him to turn on the loudspeaker at Marine headquarters. Sengoku was puzzled, but still did. Next moment. Advertisement. An old, majestic and suppressed angry voice sounded over Marineford. Don't be unharmed, traitor among us. Who is talking? People were astonished, and immediately discovered that the sound came from Marine's loudspeaker. Are they high-ranking officials? Are they here to save us? The higher-ranking Marine was directly shocked. It's the voice of Lord 5 Elders. As soon as this remark came out, the audience was in an uproar. 5 Elders, that is the highest authority of the world government. Is it finally going to appear today? Even Whitebeard's eyes narrowed. Are the 5 Elders in the legend not dead? Sengoku, it seems that the big figures in your government are finally unable to sit still. The red hair on the side also moved slightly, and he had a secret communication with 5 elders, knowing that it was indeed the voice of one of 5 elders. It's just, why does he say, traitor among us? The red hair's eyes flickered, and immediately thought of something, shaking all over, looking at Dover in the sky. Could it be that this man used to be celestial dragons? Dover stepped on the void, hearing the voice of 5 elders, a mocking arc evoked at the corner of his mouth. The one who asked 5 elders to come forward, is he still hiding behind the scenes? Haha, interesting. I only heard Dover's faint voice. You are still alive, but I am even more curious, where is your master, 5 elders? Wow. As soon as Dover's voice fell, he set off a huge wave around the world. The master of 5 elders. 5 elders of the highest authority, and the master. Even the highest ranking Kong and Sengoku, their eyes widened in disbelief. What nonsense are you talking about, Doflamingo? In the loudspeaker, the sound of 5 elders was extremely angry. Listen carefully, and there is a trace of panic that is not easily detectable. Mariajoy. 5 elders in front of the phone worm was already panicked. Dover made them panic after only one sentence. Why? He would know the existence of Lord Yim. The 5 elders exchanged panic eyes. You know, Lord Yim is the top secret of the world government, and only 5 of them know about it. Even the other celestial dragons, even the army commander Kong, even the marine marshal Sengoku, are all kept in the drum. 5 elders couldn't help but look at Lord Yim on the throne cautiously, for fear of thunder anger coming down from him. Yim's eyes fluctuated, obviously he was also extremely surprised. Is that man aware of his existence long ago? Chapter 180 Is the world government a god? Advertisement. I'm stared deeply at the image of Dover projected by the phone worm. Where did that man learn the secret about him? I.M. lowered his head in thought. 5 elders saw that Lord Yim showed no signs of anger, and felt a little relieved, and then yelled to the phone worm. Doflamingo, come on, what are you going to do? You used to be celestial dragons. You should know that even if Marineford is destroyed, the foundation of the world government will not be shaken. The information contained in the words of 5 elders, with the spread of the phone worm, caused the entire world to fall into extreme shock. The man who wants to destroy the world is actually celestial dragons. No wonder Joker can be the middle man in the dark, connecting black and white. It turns out that he is not only Shichibukai, but also a superior celestial dragons. People were dumbfounded, shocked by Dover's original identity. The Fishmen Island, Shirahoshi covered the mouth of Erchichi, and his beautiful eyes showed a trace of unbelievableness. That lord, was it the celestial dragons of damn it before? Celestial dragons is very aware of the atrocities of the Fishmen Island, even a simple girl like Shirahoshi. At South Blue's casino, Fujitora once again stopped the chopsticks. Celestial dragons. Master Heavenly Yaksha, you really surprise the old man more and more. The outskirts of Marineford waters. Empress Hancock's body suddenly shook. Beautiful eyes broke away from the obsession in an instant. Celestial dragons, is he celestial dragons? No, this is not true. Hancock's pretty face turned pale. The childhood experience made Hancock hate celestial dragons. And now, the only man she falls in love with is actually celestial dragons. Is this god joking with her? The depths of Hancock's beautiful eyes were instantly filled with confusion and pain. On the island, the red-haired Shanks, who had just guessed, sighed secretly, sure enough. Others don't have the foresight of red hair. His eyes widened and he looked like he had seen a ghost. Celestial dragons. Ha ha ha, funny. Celestial dragons want to destroy the world dominated by celestial dragons. This is not an internal fight between celestial dragons, right? The pirates only felt that they grew up so big, and they were not as shocked as they encountered today. The top powerhouses, including Whitebeard, Sengoku, Garp, Aokiji, etc., were all stunned by this sudden news. For a while, people almost forgot about the existence of Birdcage. In the air, Dover had no intention of paying attention to people's shock at his identity. Advertisement. He carried his hands behind his back and moved his fingers lightly. Countless threads hidden in the darkness shoot silently towards the infinite universe. There was nothing strange on Dover's face, and he faintly responded to Five Elders' questions. I don't talk to a bunch of dog-legged guys. I want to ask me and let your master come over. In addition, I have to remind you that your so-called fundamental is not as reliable as you think. The foundation of the world government, except for Marine, is nothing more than two aspects. One is the final whole card of world government, presumably the master is in the hands of that mysterious Lord Yim. The other is the origin of world government itself. It was built by 20 powerful countries 900 years ago, and today, there are hundreds of participating countries. This is an immeasurable force of terror, all over the sea, all over the world. What Five Elders said just now is to tell Dover that even if he destroys Marine, with the power of the world government, in a few years, he will be able to revive and rebuild Marine. In the final analysis, Five Elders is overwhelming. Dover was just one person after all. But world government is a powerful organization. As long as the organization does not break up, the government can fully recover no matter how hard it suffers. On the contrary, the power of the individual is endless. However, it is a pity. Even though Five Elders thinks beautifully and speaks well, they still underestimate Dover. Greatly underestimated Dover. At this moment, the expansion of Bellamy and others in East Blue and the expansion of the Kingdom of Germa in North Blue are enough to shatter the illusion of Five Elders. However, at this time, how did the Five Elders know this? They were almost spitting out old blood because of Dover's reply. Dog leg. That traitor of damn it, actually called them shit. You know, apart from Lord Yim, Five Elders is a real person, above tens of thousands of people, has never been so humiliated. This is simply too deceptive. However, they still couldn't refute it. Do they want them in front of Lord Yim to say that they are not Lord Yim's dog legs? Five Elders couldn't bear it anymore, and immediately yelled in disregard of the image. Doflamingo, you are an unprecedented villain, the most evil celestial dragons ever. You are going to be thrown on the gallows, you will die with 1,000 swords. Shameless demon, when burned to death by fire. The whole world was once again stunned by the shock. The Five Elders aloft, the most powerful Five Elders in the world, are actually cursing the street like a shrew. Advertisement. It takes time. No matter what people think, the unattainable and mysterious image of Five Elders in their hearts will be lost. Especially people who have seen Five Elders with their own eyes, such as Sengoku, Kong, and Red Hair, have strange expressions. The always arrogant adults of Five Elders, not only were called doglegs, but they were also frustrated on the spot, and their image was completely lost. Hey, wait, shit, frustrated. Think of the Master Dover said, this. An indescribable violent shock rose in their hearts. Sengoku almost subconsciously took a look at each other with Kong, and both saw the incredible and shocking in the other's eyes. Could it be? What Doflamingo said is true, is there really a master above Five Elders? Mariajoy. I'm on the Scarlet Throne regained consciousness from his contemplation. He glanced at the furious Five Elders, and said without emotion. You have been tricked by him, it's really outrageous to be so stupid. Five Elders was dumbfounded immediately, and the angry expression seemed to freeze instantly. Immediately, they finally reacted, waiting for the reaction of others just now, isn't that trying to cover it up? This endless fear suddenly rushed into my heart, and Five Elders hurriedly knelt to the ground, trembling like a sieve, and his voice was terrified. Our capital crime, our capital crime. Forget it. 0.3 inches. I am actually got up from the Scarlet Throne and slowly walked towards the phone worm. You are not his opponents. Five Elders trembled, and the depths of the pupils were filled with immeasurable shock. Lord Yim, this is going to be on your own. I saw I'm coming to the phone worm, and at the same time, a magnificent and ghostly voice sounded over Marineford. You guys from the Donquixote clan, can you tell me, do you have any support against the world government? Above the void, Dover's eyes suddenly exploded with two brilliant lights. That mysterious Lord Yim was finally willing to show up. Buddha howl. A deep, deep laughter, which seemed to come from Netherworld, came from Dover's throat. I am. You don't really think that. World government is a god, right? Chapter 181 I am shock, Dover's support. Advertisement. Who is talking? Is someone in Five Elders? Who is the I'm that Doflamingo said? People fell into a state of perplexity. There are so many things that happened today. First, the four emperors gathered in Marineford and broke out in a terrifying battle. Shichibukai Doflamingo suddenly took action, besieging Marine and pirates with Black Birdcage, trying to kill everyone and be the savior of destroying the world. Immediately afterwards, the world's highest authority, Five Elders, uttered the voice, but in a few words, Dover was stimulated by Dover's impatience and desolation. And now, it is actually the turn of the mysterious I'm who is even above 5 elders. The situation is unpredictable and there are too many shocks, making people almost speechless. Only those top powerhouses can remain reluctantly calm, but their hearts are still full of unspeakable vibrations. Whitebeard's eyes widened. Why did the old man lie in the ocean for decades and never heard of this name? The redhead couldn't believe it. On top of those 5 old guys, there is actually a master standing. Garp clenched his fist. On the celestial dragon's side, something really dirty could happen. As for Kong and the 11 countries, their expressions are also quite complicated while their hearts are shaking. Damn it, is Yim the highest authority in the government? The old man, as the commander-in-chief of the army, doesn't even know. Although the old man is Marshal Marine, he has never heard of such secrets. All over the world at the same moment. Those kings of hundreds of countries who have joined the world government have a deceived anger on their faces. Didn't the world government tell us that power should be checked and balanced? Why are there still people on 5 elders? The world government really it deceived us for hundreds of years. Who was that guy named Yim? He actually held the power of the world government in his own hands. 5 elders are all his dog legs. Hateful, I also want to be that kind of person, and become the master of the void throne. Anger, jealousy, and various emotions are active in the hearts of the kings of these countries. But, some people are more concerned about Dover's response than Im's existence. That person is Fujitora. Advertisement. When Dover said, as the world government a god, Fujitora's chopsticks for noodles suddenly fell from his hands. As the world government a god. Fujitora chewed this sentence. Something he had been searching for decades suddenly realized something at this moment. I personally pierced my eyes blindly, just not to see the filth of the world. But this is just self-deception. The darkness of the world will not disappear just because I can't see it. There is only one way to destroy the darkness. That is. Fujitora raised her head suddenly, and her white pupils opened and closed slightly, facing Dover's direction. That is to replace darkness with light. Master Heavenly Yaksha, do you think so too? Over Marineford. Dover didn't know what he said, and unexpectedly made Fujitora, who joined Marine in this club, realized, and regarded him as a light to replace the darkness of the world. This matter will also bring unexpected benefits to Dover in the near future. Back to the present. Yim was not irritated by Dover's response. He was indeed an old monster that had not known how many years he had survived. The city was very deep and would not easily reveal flaws. The younger of the Donquixote clan, you didn't answer my question. Fighting against the world government, against me, where are you relying on? Dover's brows frowned, and this scene was not so easy to deal with. This person is mysterious and unpredictable. Even if he has survived from ancient times to the present, it is difficult to be sure that he is not even a creature. This person should be the biggest opponent that Dover has encountered since crossing. Even for Emperor's Admiral, it's a far cry. Even Dover had to stand up. Reliance. Dover glanced at Marineford at his feet and said lightly. At this moment, the life and death of more than 100,000 Marines and the world's highest combat power are under my control. Is this count as dependent? Im's voice said, it is a pity that they died, but they will not cause fundamental harm to the world government. It only takes a few years for me to build a stronger Marine than now. Also, I will not allow you to kill them. Dover sneered. I am the king of Dressrosa, the agent of the dark world, and control more than 20% of the world. There are countless weapons, countless money, countless fighters. Is this count as dependent? Advertisement. In the years Dover has run Dressrosa, the power has already reached a terrifying point. The technology of Derma, the weapon factory of Wanokuni, the man-made devil fruit fighter, the financial system of Golden Emperor Tezzolo, and the power of the underground world. These, any one of them, is enough to shake the world. But all of them are master in Dover's hands. On Im's side, there was obviously silence for a while. Obviously, he was also shocked by the fact that Dover did not know when and had such a terrifying power. This is really extraordinary. Yim finally sounded, but it's not enough to defeat me. Howl. Dover sneered even more, and Jair raised his head. At this moment, East Blue and North Blue are at war. My people will occupy these 2 seas. Is this a reliance? The words came out. 277 not to mention that Yim fell into a long silence, and the whole world was plunged into a huge boiling in an instant. East Blue and North Blue are actually fighting. No wonder they haven't heard the messages from those 2 places from beginning to end. Doflamingo is in Marineford, but there is still room to conquer East Blue and North Blue. How powerful is his power? Horrible. This person is terrible. This force is simply another world government. The whole world is shaking. Together with the top powerhouses on Marineford, it is also incredible. I sent someone to see it. What you said is indeed true. This matter exceeded my expectations. After a long time, Yim's voice sounded. Now, you have the qualifications to compete with me, but it is not enough to defeat me. Ha ha ha. Dover smiled, mockingly. Then, your descendants of celestial dragons are going to die soon. Are they my support? I am silently. When it sounded again, he was already suppressing anger. You dare to spread poison among Mariajoy and celestial dragons. The sin is unforgivable. The sin is very sinful. Dover smiled more evilly. Now I realize that it seems that you are not omniscient and omnipotent, Lord Yim. Ask for a reward, ask for a monthly ticket, ask for flowers, ask for everything. Chapter 182 Boundless Darkness. 108 Pluton Missiles. Advertisement. Mariajoy. The mysterious Lord Yim, who has been in control of the world for so many years, and who thinks that everything can't escape his palm. At this moment, the expression on his face is like the sky before the storm is about to come, and it is extremely dark, suppressing anger. As for Five Elders' face, it was even more pale, frightened stupidly. The reliance just mentioned by Dover made them almost doubt their ears. When did the traitor among their celestial dragons possess such terrifying power? At first, Five Elders didn't want to believe it, thinking Dover was talking big. When the people sent to investigate came back to report, Five Elders had to believe it. And what makes Five Elders feel terrified, and what makes Yim no longer able to calm down, is the poison that has prevailed in celestial dragons at some unknown time. A blue pill, addictive and hallucinogenic, and constantly cannibalize people's bodies. If things go on like this, celestial dragons will die. Doflamingo, that unprecedented and inhuman villain. Five Elders screamed with a trembling voice. He wants to extinct celestial dragons. Enough. A deep angry shout came from Im's mouth. Five Elders and others trembled, their heads knocked on the ground, and they dared not make any more noises. They had never seen Master Yim so angry, which made them feel terrified and uneasy, and their hearts were full of panic. Descendants of the Donquixote clan. I am facing the phone worm. Do you know what it means for you to do this? Marineford. Dover stood with his hands in his hands, his expression calm. Judging from the confrontation just now, that Im is not an almighty god either. As long as it is not a god, there are weaknesses. And Yim's weakness seems to be his idiot-like descendants of celestial dragons. Dover smiled strangely. Xiao Xiao Buddha, a group of stupid things that are even more rubbish than rubbish. I will help you clean up Mariajoy's rubbish. Shouldn't you thank me? I am. The voice just fell. People all over the world, collectively petrify. They understood, it was probably the man who looked like a demon god who used some means to harm the entire celestial dragons of Mariajoy. Then, the boss of celestial dragons who appeared for the first time in history, I am furious. The demon-like man claimed to help Yim clean up the garbage at home. The worldview has collapsed. Is the world in front of you really happening? People even wonder if they have been in an illusion, otherwise, how could there be such an absurd thing in the world? I can't even dream of it. The Fishmen Island, Shark and the others, who had just changed because Dover was actually celestial dragons, clapped their hands and laughed again. Advertisement. Good, good. This man actually exterminated celestial dragons, he is such a great guy. Even King Neptune, who has never spoken, had a hateful smile on his face, but more often, he was shocked by the man's terrible methods. The pure Shirahoshi didn't think so much, but thought with some joy in his heart. That adult is really not a bad person. South Blue. Fujitora didn't care about her face either, and laughed with her palms, tears almost bursting out of her eyes. Master Heavenly Yaksha, your method is really unexpected, the old man can't help if he wants to help. The waters outside Marineford, Hancock on the Nine-Snake ship, with a pale paper face, finally recovered a trace of blood. She looked at the man in the sky fascinatingly, her beautiful eyes full of complex colors. Although he is celestial dragons, those celestial dragons are different, me. Mariajoy's is Yim, his tone can no longer suppress angrily. Doflamingo, you are too ignorant. You are also a celestial dragons, you don't know the origin of celestial dragons, let alone our history. Dover raised his brow. The origin of celestial dragons is not the royal family of the 19 countries that created the world government 900 years ago and eliminated Alabasta. As for the history of celestial dragons, does it mean that blank 100 years? Haha, but there is no need to ask at this time. The truth of history, Dover has Robin on his side, to interpret it for him. And now, but what kind of past celestial dragons have? What they should do now? Just die. I'm also seemed to know that Dover would not give up his actions because of his short words, and his voice was full of hatred. You will regret it, Donquixote. Doflamingo. Yes. Dover stood in the void, above all beings, even the mysterious Lord of Celestial Dragons, bowed his head in front of him. You are too arrogant. You are aloof, you think you can control everything in the world, but you don't know who I am. Today, I will be in charge of the killing, destroy your supreme honor, and burn the 95 bodies of celestial dragons. Dover's voice resembled Hong Zhang Dalu, Junku fainted, resounding through the sky. The sky, because of his voice, Yunlong rolled, as if it was about to collapse. The sea, because of his voice, roars frantically, just like the end. And the black birdcage underneath, the speed of contraction suddenly accelerated. In an instant, thousands of people died. The blood dyed the setting sun red, dyed the world red. No, Doflamingo is going to kill. He is going to kill all of us. Endless fear pervades Marineford. Whitebeard's eyes were condensed to the extreme. Today gave the old man a shock, too much. Doflamingo, the old man has to admit that you are a man beyond Roger. But, in any case, the old man can't let my dear son die here. A powerful and unmatched shock wave gathered on Whitebeard's fist, and then blasted out against Birdcage. Advertisement. Noisy. Space is broken. Boom boom boom. Half of Marineford fell apart. Sengoku no longer cares about what five elders, what celestial dragons. He shouted almost desperately. Marineford, it's going to be ruined. Mariajoy. Im's face was blue. The younger generation of the Donquixote clan actually doesn't take him so seriously. Do I have to use something like that? Such a thing as Mariajoy's national treasure, the last card of the world government. But as a last resort, Yim didn't want such a thing to appear in front of the world. Above the void, a sneer evoked from the corner of Dover's mouth. Aren't you doing it yet? He knew that Yim had Mariajoy's national treasure in his hands, and he had been waiting for that thing to show up. But it seemed that Im was still hesitating. If this is the case, then do you dare to hesitate any longer? More. Dover pointed to the sky. It's like the demon god of 9 days, summoning the thunder that destroys the world. However, it was not the thunder that was summoned, but the darkness, the boundless darkness. The dim darkness of money followed the whole world. What is he going to do? Im's hands clenched and his eyes widened. People in the whole world also opened their eyes wide. At the same time, in the middle of the desert of Alabasta, the Dark Lady and Queen of the Dark Elves, Vivi, has a sweet smile on her face as cute as a jade porcelain doll. Brother Dover, are you finally going to do it? You are the god who judges the world. All existence that defies you will die. The next moment, I saw Vivi's small mouth vomit. Ming, launch a missile. In the darkness, there was a crisp sound. Clear. Immediately afterwards, the behemoth that lay in the endless darkness suddenly shone with a black luster. On that deck, 108 dark holes, with a buzzing sound, one huge black missile shot into the sky. Toward the Mariajoy on the red line behind Marineford, lacing away. Chapter 183 Mariajoy's National Treasure, Uranus. Advertisement. 108 Pluton missiles, the whole body presents a dark gold color, the caliber is tens of meters, and it exudes a palpable atmosphere. Every shot has the terrifying power of destroying the island and the country. And when 108 black Pluton missiles were flying towards the sky, the whole world was dark. What's wrong? What happened again? Joker pointed to the sky has actually dimmed. He is obviously in Marineford, how could it affect us here? People in the world are panicked. An indescribable depression flooded their hearts. Although they are thousands of miles away from Marineford, they are as if they are on the scene. The strong sense of oppression makes them almost collapse. God. This is the power of God. Countless people knelt down in panic and worshipped Dover's place. The feelings of Marine and pirates on Marineford are even more profound. Looking up at the sky, they could only see an unclear number of huge black sword-like monsters attacking from the sky. Although it is still far away, everyone can already feel the hell breath from the behemoth. Then what the hell is that? Teeth couldn't help but tremble, legs couldn't help but soften. Today's changes are too many 280, and terrible things are one after another. Whether it is Marine or pirate, the psychological endurance has reached its limit. Only the top powerhouses can barely remain calm. Whitebeard glanced at the sky, his face changed drastically. The powerful experience and the unique premonition of the top powerhouse made him understand that it is definitely an incredible thing. It's even more terrifying than Birdcage. Marineford must be sunk to the bottom of the sea as soon as possible. Whitebeard knows that time is running out, and if those things are really let down, everyone will die. Sinking Marineford into the sea, there may be a chance to escape from the bottom of the sea. Kaido, who was already close to madness, suddenly fell silent after seeing the thing. No, it's not quiet, it's shock, it's horror. So horrified that you can't move. Pluton. That's the breath of Pluton. The next moment, Kaido suddenly let out a terrified roar. As an ambitious four emperors, Kaido has also been looking for ancient weapon, and has also secretly studied Pluton for a long time. However, there has been no clue. Unexpectedly, Pluton fell into the hands of Joker. In the outer waters, on the crocodile B-Bad side, the man looked at the black Pluton missile coming from the sky, with a trace of emotion in his eyes. At the beginning, he deliberately designed Alabasta in order to get Pluton. But unfortunately, before the plan could be implemented, it was defeated by Dover, and the latter did what he could not. Advertisement. Successfully awakened the ancient weapon Pluton, which had been sleeping in history for so many years. Crocodile is emotional, while the rest of the people are terrified, incomparably terrified. Pluton. Actually, ancient weapon Pluton with the name of God. It is said that Pluton can destroy the island in a single blow. With so many missiles, does Joker want to destroy the world? The people on Marineford had endless despair in their eyes, and their weapons fell to the ground. They had no courage to resist, smiling sadly, and knelt on the ground. Pluton can destroy Marineford with a missile, how could they be spared? But, some people saw something was wrong. With this indestructible birdcage, Doflamingo can make us useless. He doesn't need to use Pluton anymore. Could it be that Sengoku, Red Hair, Aokiji, Hawkeye, and other top powerhouses immediately stared at the Pluton missile in the sky? From the trajectory of their movement, the target. It's the Holy Land Mariajoy. Endless shock filled my heart. The terrible prediction left them speechless. Doflamingo will not only destroy Marineford, but also Mariajoy, the world's highest holy site, and kill all celestial dragons. Including 5 elders, including the mysterious Yim. Is that man's real plan? This. Redhead only feels that her mouth is dry at the moment, and she can't get her breath away. Before, he used clues to speculate Dover's plan. At that time, Dover did not respond. The red hair thought he had guessed it, but now, the red hair suddenly felt a little ridiculous. He did guess right, but he only guessed part of it. He still underestimated the man's chest, the man's ambition, the man's hockey. That man's real plan and real purpose are not only the 4 emperors and marines. And the whole world government. What a kind of mindset this is. What a terrible man this is. The red hair suddenly felt that he was not wrong for losing, and even dying in the hands of such a man is not a kind of honor. Mariajoy, Pangu City. I don't know that the calamity of extinction is right in front of me, and I don't know that celestial dragons, who are about to face a catastrophe, are still drunk, dreaming, and happy. As for the bright face of celestial dragons, 5 elders knelt at the feet of that Lord Yim like a fool at the moment, trembling like chaff. Master Yi Yim, hurry up and use the national treasure. Advertisement. That man is a lunatic, he wants to destroy Mariajoy, he wants to kill us. Lord Yim's face was gloomy and terrible, and his fists were also firmly rubbed. Pluton, such a demon killer, actually fell into your hands. Okay, very good, younger of the Donquixote clan, you successfully angered me. Next second, Imgreen said coldly to 5 elders, who was kneeling at his feet. You come with me. Then, walk to the scarlet throne. 5 elders quickly followed. I saw Yim actually turn the void throne, revealing a huge black hole. Mariajoy's national treasure is hidden here. 5 elders shocked all over. The national treasure is the last card of the world government. Only the master is in the hands of Lord Yim, not even the 5 elders. Under the leadership of Yimu, the 5 people entered the underground of the Void Throne, and they have been to the deepest and bottom of Pangu City. Here it is. 5 elders looked around in shock. This is an extremely luxurious underground palace, magnificent and exudes sacred golden brilliance. There are countless treasures, countless weapons, countless unimaginable luxury items. 5 elders even suspected that the wealth of the entire world added up. It is estimated that the things here are not as precious. After all, this is the world government, but Mariajoy has accumulated thousands of years. But, Im didn't look at those things. No matter how precious and luxurious things were, they would be no different from garbage after a long time. He went straight to a mysterious place. As soon as 5 elders followed, his eyes were immediately irritated by the extremely sacred brilliance. When I finally opened my eyes, seeing what Lord Yim is facing right now. Open your mouth and can't close it again. It is Mariajoy's national treasure. The last whole card, ancient weapon, the god comparable to or even better than Pluton. Uranus. Chapter 184 The confrontation of ancient weapon, Uranus vs Pluton. Advertisement. It is a huge idol. The first has double horns and the back has double wings. Contrary to the darkness of Pluton, its whole body presents a bright yellow golden color, which makes it difficult to look directly at it. This is the legendary Uranus, ancient weapon that dominates the sky, the ultimate secret of the world government, Yim's last resort. God of angels. 5 elders trembled, their legs beaten up. If Pluton is a demon from hell, then Uranus looks like an angel from heaven. With the blessing of angels, even if Doflamingo owns Pluton, he is destined to lose. How can a devil from hell compare to a high angel? Master Yim, quickly launch Uranus and destroy that wicked traitor. 5 elders collectively requested that they couldn't wait to see Uranus show off. In the pupils of Im's spiral, strange eyes flickered, and he said in an unpredictable tone. This is an angelic artifact, and it is natural to restrain the devil's killing weapon. A cold killing intent gradually appeared on Im's face, looking at the direction Dover was. The younger generation of Tangjaheda clan, you are indeed far beyond my surprise, and the strength you possess is even more powerful to destroy the world government. But, unfortunately, because you don't know the history of the world, and the history of our celestial dragons, so you are doomed to fail. Next moment, Im's palm was placed on the giant god-tier statue. Buzzing. Uranus suddenly burst into endless brilliance. 5 elders trembled with excitement, fell to the ground involuntarily, and chanted. All evil and Xiao will dissipate under the light of Uranus. And in the entire world, only the Supreme Lord Yim can manipulate Uranus. Marineford. Dover at this moment is like a demon. Pointing to the sky, 108 Pluton missiles lost from that far away. Along with it, the endless darkness surged wildly, and the sun's light was obscured. Everyone who saw this scene was shocked and terrified. However, just when the world thought that the high holy place Mariajoy would be destroyed by the demon-like man with his own power. The unexpected happened again. I saw it. The entire Mariajoy suddenly burst out with boundless bright light. Advertisement. The light turned into a huge beam of light and shot towards the sky, causing the rich darkness to be torn apart for a short time. Dover's expression moved slightly. With this power, besides the national treasure of Mariajoy, Uranus, what else? Finally, are you willing to take it out? The corner of Dover's mouth made a sneer. The most mysterious ancient weapon Uranus, master is in Yim's hands, it is not surprising. Dover had already anticipated this. Let me see how powerful the legendary Uranus is. It seems to be responding to Dover's expectations, in the central area of Mariajoy. Another huge golden beam of light blasted out, and this time it was no longer aimed at the sky, but the Pluton missile. Boom. The golden beam of light fired by Uranus reached the ultimate speed, and it collided with a Pluton missile in just a moment. Boom boom boom. A terrifying explosion that cannot be described in words sounded above the sky. The endless waves of fire caused by the explosion instantly covered the sky of thousands of miles. It made the whole world suddenly become extremely bright. The shock caused by the outbreak is even more terrifying. Countless islands were torn apart under the aftermath of the shaking. The wild beast was shaken to death alive, and the sea beast was so scared to hide on the bottom of the sea tens of thousands of miles, shivering. Even the towering old tree on the desert island farthest in the four seas, the leaves are slurping, and the tree's waist is bent, almost falling. This scene is terrible enough to make the world collapse. It's terrible. The world government still has such a weapon. With such power, even the four emperors will die with one blow. What is the weapon that can block the Pluton missile? What else can there be? There is a strong roar. It must be the ancient weapon, Uranus, who is in parallel with Pluton in the legend. What? Uranus is in the hands of the world government. Isn't it obvious? The world government prohibits others from owning ancient weapon, but I have been searching for it in secret. They have already owned Uranus. If Pluton is not obtained by Joker, it is estimated that Pluton will also fall into their hands. World government has always been this virtue. While the world was terrified, they also cursed the world government. But scolding and scolding, their fear of world government has reached its extreme at this moment. The man who is like a demon, the Doflamingo who owns Pluton, if they can't destroy the world government, what can they do for mortals? Seeking flowers 0. Advertisement. Dressrosa. When the cadres of the Donquixote family saw that the Pluton missile was actually blocked, their discoloration changed. No. Damn, its world government actually hides this kind of big killer. The young master is in a bad situation. We are going to Marineford immediately to meet Master Young Master. Master Young Master didn't give such an order. When is the time? The safety of the young master is the most important. Toripal and others panicked. Viola, Monet, Baby 5 and other women also have pretty faces full of worries. However, the strange thing is that Sugar and Robin's faces are not any strange. Sister Robin, do you know what else the young master has to deal with? Monet looked at Robin suspiciously. Toripal and others also stopped and looked over with full of expectation. 0. Unexpectedly, Robin shook his head. Then what are you? Robin took it for granted. I believe Dover, he must have been prepared for such a situation. Robin knew Dover, and he believed from the bottom of his heart that no matter how difficult or dangerous it was nothing in front of the omnipotent man. And most importantly, it's not without reason that Robin is calm now. She looked at little Sugar and smiled. Sister Sugar, you must know Dover's plan. Granulated Sugar pouted cutely. How did you know? Robin smiled. With Sugar's attachment to Dover, seeing the other person in danger, he will inevitably be anxious. And Gagao Sugar is not only not worried, but also looks like a smirk. With Robin's cleverness, it was natural to see where the tricks were. Seeing everyone looking at him, Granulated Sugar lifted her little hand like a little adult, and sighed. Well, let me tell you, I don't have any patience one by one. Soon, the Sugar couldn't fit any more, proudly raised his white chin, and said proudly. This war, young master mentioned it to others a long time ago. Well, probably not long after Robin's sister came to Dressrosa. Monet hurriedly asked, what did the young master say? Granulated Sugar stretched out her slender arms, hugged a big circle, and said exaggeratedly. The young master said that he will be in Mariajoy, the next super big meteor shower. Chapter 185 I am succumbed in ruling the world with Dover. Advertisement. Holy Land Mariajoy, the underground palace of Pangu City. Yim gasped slightly. Activating this Uranus, he himself also needed a lot of physical strength. Equivalently, I'm as a power engine of Uranus. After all, with that terrible beam of light, it is impossible without energy supply. In fact, Pluton also needs energy supply. At first, Dover guessed that Pluton's power engine might be a kind of nuclear energy. But later, after Pluton was completely repaired, Vivi learned from the mouth of the Pluton ship wizard that this was not the case. The source of Pluton's energy is darkness. It can turn into physical darkness. This coincides with Vivi's dark fruit ability. As a result, Vivi is now in the middle of the Alabasta Desert, providing Pluton with a steady stream of dark energy. The sad Eam didn't know this, so he then committed a 280 big mistake. I am suddenly urging Uranus with all his strength, prompting Uranus to shoot out more than 100 huge beams of light like just now. These more than 100 beams of light crossed the sky and collided with the remaining Pluton missiles. Boom, boom, an explosion 100 times more violent than before, erupted on the sky. The sky is torn apart. The terrible air wave spread all over the world. Millions of creatures died, and countless small islands were shaken to pieces and sank into the sea. And there are countless big trees broken and collapsed buildings. People hugged their heads and squatted on the ground, panicking that the end times would come. For a long time, the aftermath of the explosion subsided. As the darkness brought by the Pluton missile dissipated, the sun's rays again shone on the earth. Have you finally stopped? I almost thought I was going to die. Look at the sky. Someone was shocked. The Pluton missile disappeared. So many Pluton missiles were destroyed in an instant. Is the world government really invincible? After all, the world government has nearly 1,000 years of heritage. Even if Doflamingo's methods are extraordinary, the gap in the heritage is irreparable. For some reason, when you know this, people all over the world can't help but feel lost. The world may still have hope for Marine, but there is absolutely no one who does not hate or hate celestial dragons. Advertisement. However, due to the noble status of celestial dragons, people dare not say these words. When Dover stepped forward and declared that he would destroy Mariajoy and kill the celestial dragons, people felt that its methods were cruel, but they inevitably also had expectations. It is the best place to destroy the so-called shit-holy place that was built by the people who were all searched from the world. People are whispering secretly. But at this moment, that stalwart man who looked like a demon god actually failed. Mariajoy's underground palace. 5 elders was delighted. Huh, that kid is just so arrogant, now I see how crazy he is. Want to destroy Mariajoy, that is simply wishful thinking. Master Yim, please send another attack to kill that heinous traitor. Haha, at this time, Yim was gasping for breath, and a drop of sweat oozes from his forehead. The attack just now consumed too much of his physical strength. But, compared to destroying those Pluton missiles, this physical strength is nothing. Yim's face regained his usual calm and self-confidence, and said to the phone. The younger generation of the Donquixote clan, now you should understand that my strength is not something you can hostile. Over Marineford. When Dover heard this, he couldn't help laughing. Seeing Dover's smile, Im's heart suddenly glared, and a bad feeling arose. Just listen to Dover saying with a hint of mockery. Uranus is indeed powerful, but how much can you use for such an attack? How many Pluton missiles can still be blocked? At the moment Dover's voice fell, Vivi in Alabasta had a sweet and mischievous smile on his pretty face. Vivi patted the Pluton battleship under his butt and said. Mingming, let's launch another wave. The dark energy contained in the body is injected into the Pluton battleship. Immediately afterwards, another 100 Pluton missiles were shot out, endless darkness swept through the world once again, and the sun's rays were once again obscured. What's the matter? The sky has dimmed. People raised their heads, then their mouths opened wide, and they couldn't close their faces anymore, and their faces were full of disbelief. Pluton missile flies from the sky again. Underground palace. Yim's eyes were wide open, and his pupils were covered with bloodshot eyes. Advertisement. Looking at the sky, the more than 100 Pluton missiles that struck Mariajoy once again, the face hurts. He was still telling Dover about his strength just now, and he was beaten in the face in the next second. Why can he fire Pluton missiles? 5 elders is stupid, but unfortunately, the previous pride seems extremely ridiculous at the moment. Yim also had this question. He looked at Dover, who was light and breezy in the sky, and said almost every word. Can you tell me how you did it? Pluton, there shouldn't be so much energy supply. It seems that you also know something about Pluton. Dover said in a faint voice, but you don't need to know more. If you are unable to block this wave of attacks, you will be dead in the next second. I am. Im's face was blue. Never, he has never suffered such humiliation. As the true master of the world for a long time, he was actually threatened by a junior. But the Pluton missile is right in front of him, and I don't know how many waves the other party can send out in the future. Yim can only endure the anger, and once again push Uranus with all his strength. Buzzing. Another 100-odd Uranus beam shot out and collided with the Pluton missile. Boom. The terrifying explosion that frightened people was staged again. And this time, before the explosion ceased, Im's eager voice sounded. Doflamingo, can you talk about it? I am equivalent to celestial dragons. There is no need to kill each other. I am willing to rule the world with you. Your position will not be above me, whether it is 5 elders or marine, you will be sent from now on. Wow. As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar around the world 0.3. People were dumbfounded, wondering if their ears had misheard. The Lord of Celestial Dragons, the mysterious world lord, actually succumbed to Doflamingo. Not only people from all over the world, but also Sengoku and Kong on Marineford, who are facing life-threatening conditions, are shocked. As for 5 elders, they looked at each other even more. Anyone with a big mouth can lay an egg. Master Yi, actually want to rule the world with that kid. The status is even higher than the few of us. Stayed, silly. 5 elders never thought that one day the supreme and omnipotent Lord Yim would be softened to others, and be softened to this point. This is something Hengu hasn't had, it's almost unheard of. Chapter 186 The Sacrificed 5 Elders. The Collapse Time. Advertisement. Dover was also quite surprised by the language of Im's rule of the world. This Yim really has an idea. Isn't it just like some ancient emperors in the motherland of the previous life, in the face of aggression and unable to resist, they carried out the so-called rule of the river. It seems that Im has reached the limit, otherwise he would not say such a thing. If Im is in charge of Uranus and has the running dog of world government, the pirate world can be described as invincible in the world. Even the 4 emperors' rank forces are nothing more than ants that are difficult to deal with. If Yim made up his mind, it would be inevitable to eradicate the 4 emperors. However, it is such a powerful Yim, but he has encountered the freak Dover, and within a few years, his strength and influence have expanded to the point where he can rival him. Even, as far as the moment is concerned, Dover obviously has the upper hand. Even though Im still holds the artifact Uranus, Dover also has Pluton on his side. Moreover, it takes a huge price to launch the Uranus beam, and Im's physical strength is difficult to last. On the contrary, the Pluton missile seems to be launched continuously from energy sources. I am afraid that it is only when I understand this that I have to say this absurd proposal to rule the world together. What do you think of my proposal? Yim seemed to know his performance at the moment, extremely humiliating and embarrassing, but he still said patiently. Buddha howls ha ha ha. Dover smiled, seemingly extremely interested. So, is the southern hemisphere for you and the northern hemisphere for me, or the southern hemisphere for me and the northern hemisphere for you? There was a long silence on Im's side. And the people of the world are already dumbfounded. Is this to divide the world into 2 halves? When Yim's voice sounded again, it was already full of extreme irritation that no longer concealed it. You are teasing me, Doflamingo. Yim is clearly talking about co-governance, that is, two people govern the world together. But what Dover said was that the world was divided into two halves, and one person ruled half, which is clearly different from what he said. Ha 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 ha. Dover flicked his palms and laughed. It seems you are not stupid yet, Lord I am. Mariajoy's underground palace. Im's face was blue, it was hard to see the extreme. He put aside his supreme honor. He did not hesitate to subdue to a junior, but he was teased by the other. It's really outrageous. Outrageous. No words can describe Yim's anger at this time. Since that man didn't leave any leeway, it was as simple as his wish. The king was angry, and a million corpses. Advertisement. Yim's eyes turned slightly red, and Ran turned his head to look at one of five elders, and said coldly. Come here. The body trembled, and I don't know what Lord Yim called him. But he knew that Lord Yim was in full anger at this time, and he absolutely couldn't talk or defy. The man approached Im tremblingly. Suddenly, a trace of cruelty flashed in Im's eyes, and he reached out and grabbed the man's neck. The remaining five elders changed their faces and said in fear. Master Yi Yim, what crime did he commit? Are you going to kill him? Im's cold gaze glanced over. You shouldn't ask, don't ask more. The four of them trembled immediately and fell on the ground, not daring to say a word. But he said that Yim lifted the five elders in his hand like a chicken, with a smirk on his face. Although your blood is not pure enough, if you sacrifice your life, you can provide Uranus with several attacks. The next moment, a terrifying scene happened. I am actually threw one of the five elders in his hand at Uranus's angel idol. Buzz. The idol suddenly woke up, and the whole body bloomed with hot brilliance. It was a blink of an eye, and it swallowed one of the five elders in it, and there were no bones left. Over Marineford. Dover carried his hands on his shoulders, his fingers moved lightly, seemingly unconscious, and the lines that others could not see were stretched from his fingertips to a very high and far place. This kind of action, Dover has been doing since the moment Birdcage was released. He is preparing to completely destroy Mariajoy's big move. However, before the release of the ultimate move, Dover must also accurately test out how many times Uranus could be used by Im. Then, Vivi, who was in the same mind with Dover, immediately understood his brother's gestures, and immediately said in a clear voice. Mingming, continue firing missiles, I will provide you with enough dark energy. In the shadows, the voice of the Pluton ship elves. I see, Your Highness Vivi. Boom boom boom. 108 Pluton missiles rose into the sky for the third time, and the sun's rays were obscured for the third time. The world is so shocked that they don't know why. Advertisement. The legendary ancient weapon and Pluton missiles are so worthless, can they be placed casually? What made people feel more speechless was that the Uranus beam of light also rose from Mariajoy again. For the third time, it collided with the Pluton missile in the sky. The horrible explosion once again swept the quartet. Seeing this scene, Vivi couldn't help pursing her red mouth, not convinced. Mingming, go on, don't stop. Bendo Ferguson's little padded jacket, I want to see, how long can those damn it guys last? A steady stream of dark energy is transmitted into the interior of the Pluton battleship. Buzzing. Pluton missiles were launched continuously. And the opposite side seemed to be fighting up and down, and the Uranus beams of light were constantly emitting from the tit for tat. Then, 280 scenes of collective petrification around the world have emerged. When the world dimmed, the Pluton missile was launched. The sky and the earth became golden, and the Uranus beam appeared. The violent shaking of the sky and the earth was naturally due to the attacks of Pluton and Uranus, and they fought together. Such repeated scenes have appeared more than 10 times. People were all dumbfounded and almost numb. And the most unlucky thing is undoubtedly the aftermath of the shock. Hundreds of broken islands, hundreds of millions of creatures such as dead birds, insects, and beasts, as well as countless broken trees and collapsed buildings. Mariajoy, the underground kingdom. As time passed, Yim's expression became more and more ugly, and his eyes became more and more red. After launching the Uranus beam again, Yim finally went mad and roared like crazy. It's not over yet. How could he have so many Pluton missiles? Since the ancient times Pluton was built, there has never been so many missiles launched. That guy, is that a demon from ancient times? Im is crazy, his eyes are red, and his head is disheveled. How can he look like a world ruler? And looking at the surroundings of Yim, there is no one at this moment. It turned out that 5 elders was sacrificed by him. Chapter 187 Terror is coming. 16 world-destroying meteorites. Advertisement. Although Yim finally didn't lose his mind completely, he wasn't yelling at the phone worm. But with Dover's experience, he still perceives that at this moment, I am afraid that I am really at the end of the mountain. In that case, I don't have to wait any longer. Besides, after VV ate dark fruit soon after all, the dark energy is not endless. Dover's eyes flashed, and he decided to give Mariajoy the final fatal blow. At its feet, Marineford, the headquarters of Marine, was basically destroyed. I don't know how many people died under Birdcage. At first, Whitebeard and others wanted to escape from the bottom of the sea, but because there were too many capable people, they were restricted, and the scene was very chaotic. Garp, you can also escape from the bottom of the sea. Doflamingo's Birdcage, after all, belongs to the ability of Devil Fruit. With your strength, it is impossible to destroy it on the bottom of the sea. Sengoku looked at his old friend who had been fighting side by side for decades, and said with endless depression. Once he was careless, he was forced to death. Even the marine headquarters, which had been standing for hundreds of years, would be destroyed in his hands. Coupled with the discovery that 5 elders has been deceived for so many years, the world government, which he has performed loyalty and is based on power checks and balances, has always been in the hands of an unknown person. No matter how strong Sengoku's psychological endurance is, it is inevitable to feel sad at this time, and even feel ashamed of death. Garp knows Sengoku very well, knowing that Sengoku is in a bad mood now, and his old eyes can't help but be full of tears. Garp gritted his teeth and said dumbly, "Sengoku, let's go with the old man. Then, let's go to Mariajoy together and ask 5 elders to understand." Sengoku has a strong waist. The pride of being a soldier showed on his face, that is something he will not give up until death. Garp, don't you understand? The old man is the marine marshal of this generation, the pride of the old man's heart, so he must coexist and die with the marine headquarters. Rather than saving me, an old man of twilight, you might as well save more marines. Garp's body shook, and tears couldn't help streaming down. Sengoku then moved up high above the sky, the man who had contended the entire world with his own power, his eyes were extremely complicated. Garp, if you live, you will look at the world for the old man and see where this era is heading. Is not it? It's really better than the current world government. It was originally a sentence similar to a last word, but before it was finished, Sengoku's eyes widened, and a color of fear appeared on his face. Even if Marineford were to be destroyed, even if he saw the terrifying power of the Pluton missile and the Uranus beam, Sengoku would at best feel the unprecedented shock, without fear. After all, for top powerhouses like him, life and death have already been put aside, and there is nothing that can make them truly fearful. But now, Sengoku felt fear, a fear that permeated his bones. What's wrong? Garp noticed that Sengoku was strange, and immediately followed Sengoku's gaze. Then his eyes widened, and his face showed a look of horror. Advertisement. I saw it. The man who stood in the void, the man who created this tragic situation with his own hands. Hands are waving. Along with his wave, a shadow that obscured the sky and the sun slowly descended from the infinitely distant universe. That shadow is so big that it covers the sky and the sun and the moon. Then what the hell is that? Garp opened his mouth wide, and his heart tightened violently. He subconsciously felt that something more terrifying than the Pluton missile was about to come. At the same time, all around the world, people looked up to the sky, their faces dull. Is there something coming down from the universe? Aliens. And when the shadow that obscured the sky and sun finally revealed a corner. All of a sudden, people sat on the ground. An infinite horror that was hundreds of thousands of times stronger than before, violently hit their hearts. That's a meteorite. Marineford. Sengoku couldn't hide the color of fear on his face, hoarse his throat, and shouted in disbelief. That's not a meteorite, it's a meteorite. That fellow Doflamingo actually pulled down the stars in the sky. Boom. As Sengoku's roar fell, the sky burst into a huge hole. The shadow that obscured the sky finally revealed the whole picture. It is a star that was originally in the universe. At this moment, the world has become deadly silent. The stars, actually dragging the stars in the universe down, is this still human power? The Fishmen Island. Shark and others were dumbfounded, with horror on their faces. Father, that meteorite is too big, I am afraid it will affect the Fishmen Island. The horror on Neptune's face is no less than that of his son. He wiped the cold sweat that overflowed on his forehead, and said with difficulty. Advertisement. The man's goal is not the Fishmen Island, but Mariajoy. Under Mariajoy, there is red line blocking. Wait, red line. Mentioning this word, Neptune couldn't help but subconsciously look at the eldest son Shark, and he could see the endless horror in the other's eyes. That man, will it be destroyed together with red line? South Blue. In the casino, Fujitora was also shocked. Although he can't see things with his eyes, his top-level seeing and hearing color beyond ordinary people can make him easily perceive the huge meteorite above Mariajoy. Quote. Compared with this meteorite, my old man's meteorite is like a small stone. The horror on Fujitora's face turned into supreme reverence. Master Heavenly Yaksha, your mighty power is comparable to a god. Dressrosa. The cadres of the Donquixote family looked stupid. At this time, they finally understood what the super-large and super-large meteor shower just mentioned by granulated sugar was referring to. That turned out to be a physical star. The stars in the real universe. He. With a proud look on her face, Sugar said proudly. The young master won't lie to me. And, the less-moneyed lord is talking about a meteor shower, definitely more than this one star. As the Sugar said, there are indeed more than one meteorites that cover the sky and the sun, but there are a total of 16. The diameter of each piece is longer than the width of the red line. From an extremely high altitude, the area covered by a meteorite is to include the red line under Mariajoy, along with the marine headquarters and G1 branch on both sides. Such a huge coverage area, smashed down, the damage caused will be unimaginable. It is no wonder that Sengoku, who has seen countless winds and waves, will be afraid of it. It's no wonder that Neptune, the king of the Fishmen Island, located thousands of miles under the sea, will be panicked. Moreover, they don't know yet. There will be 15 such meteorites next. When these 16 world-destroying meteors are all revealed. It is the real horror cloth. Come to the world. Chapter 188. At this moment, I am God. Advertisement. A star that obscured the sky and sun fell from the universe and was above Mariajoy. I am sorry. The entire celestial dragons of Mariajoy was silly, looking at the huge shadow on the sky. Can anyone tell Benchung what happened? There are celestial dragons who are addicted to the blue pill and don't know anything from start to finish. Why do the stars in the sky fall? This saint must be dreaming. Ha ha ha. This saint is immortal, a nobleman in the world, how could he be smashed to death? Due to the effect of the blue pill, celestial dragons thought they were dreaming and looked indifferent. And the only sober ones are probably the Roswald family. This is what Master Joker did. Is he going to ruin the whole Mariajoy? Saint Roswald trembling voice, with endless trepidation, asked several figures watching him behind him. Those few figures are naturally Dover who stayed in Mariajoy to harm celestial dragons, the former members of CP9. Rob Lucci looked at Rosvard who was terrified and sneered. Except for Master Joker, who else in the world can have such a mighty power? Or, ruined Mariajoy, do you have any comments? Fang O. The members of CP9 witnessed the confrontation between Dover and the mysterious I'm throughout. Seeing Lord Joker suppressing the celestial dragon's master, and even taking off the stars with his hands and feet, destroying the Holy Land. They all trembled, and they admired and awed Dover 283 to the extreme. Roswald, as well as his son Charos and daughter Zaluria, became more and more apprehensive. Master Joker is the supreme god. The destruction of Mariajoy is the judgment of the gods. We have no opinion. Roswald said carefully, it's just me. We are still in Mariajoy and will be affected. Hearing this, Lucci smiled more and more cold-blooded. The seductive Khalifa dressed in stockings smiled and said, it's not us, but you, a group of celestial dragons like lambs to be slaughtered. What? The Roswald family suddenly felt frightened and fell to the ground. Lucci glanced at them with disdain. You have no use value for Master Joker anymore, all celestial dragons will be erased from the world. These stupid celestial dragons are more than guilty, and it's time for us to leave this place of sin. A tall person walked out, a member of CP9, a fruit-capable person, Bluno. Air door. Bluno opened a door in the air. The other members of CP9 walked in one after another. The Roswald family immediately revealed despair in their eyes, and screamed. Advertisement. Don't leave me, I don't want to die yet. But Lucci kicked out mercilessly. Hold on, take her. Khalifa suddenly looked at Zalulia. After all, it's the slave girl of Master Joker, which is a bit worthwhile. Khalifa didn't know what was thinking, and licked her attractive red lips. Shalulia immediately burst into tears of joy, ran over to embrace Khalifa's long silk mesh legs, and said quickly. Yes, I am Master Joker's slave girl, forever slave girl. As for Rosvard and Charos, these two relatives had long been thrown out of the sky by Zaluria. Underground palace. I'm looked at the boundless giant meteorite, unable to recover for a long time. Xingqian, how can he have such strength? Throughout the ages, when you raise your hand, the only one who can blame the stars in the universe is my ancestor of celestial dragons. The ancestor of celestial dragons is a taboo existence, related to that blank 100 years of history. It's a pity that the ancestor is dead, and the ancestors of the huge kingdom 900 years ago have died together, and even the corpse does not know where it is. Antaeum is the only person in the world who still knows the existence of the ancestor, and the only person who knows the truth of the blank for 100 years. Moreover, although the ancestors have passed away, there is still remaining power to protect celestial dragons. Previously, it is precisely because of this that Yim is extremely confident, thinking that Dover will never be able to defeat him with the blessing of his ancestors. But now, the power of the ancestors has not been manifested. And that man showed the strength that only the ancestors can do. Why is this happening? He, once also celestial dragons, is not a member of the D. The ancestors are gods, celestial dragons are descendants of gods, and the clan of D is the natural enemies of gods. But Dover, obviously can't be a member of the D family. I am puzzled and confused. And the meteorite above the sky is about to fall down. No time to think about it. Im's face flashed a bit harsh, and at the expense of bad, his own life, he spurred Uranus to send a strong blow. Boom boom boom. The unimaginable huge golden beam of light rose into the sky. The brilliance permeated the entire world, swallowing the boundless meteorite. When the golden brilliance dissipated, the meteorite that obscured the sky and sun disappeared without a trace. Oh, do you still have such strength? Dover smiled slightly and waved his hands violently. Another shadow that obscured the sky and the sun fell from the universe, and it was 2 in a row. Impossible. Advertisement. Yim couldn't believe his eyes, he even fell into an inexplicable fear. Just now, when Dover used the Pluton missile, Im thought that the opponent could only use it once at most. But the opponent fired more than a dozen times, and 5 elders was sacrificed before it stopped. But the current situation is so similar to just now. A meteorite was destroyed by the life of Im's sacrifice, but 2 more came, and how many more are there after this? I am depressed and wanted to vomit blood. Did that be ******** want him to sacrifice his lifespan too? Donquixote Doflamingo. Tell me, how did you do it? This shouldn't be the power that an ordinary celestial dragons that doesn't know the existence of ancestors can have. Enter Marineford. Dover's heart moved. Celestial dragon's ancestor. Apart from Yim, does celestial dragons have a mysterious ancestor? But listening to Yim's tone, the ancestor should not be able to appear for some reason, and maybe even died early. Dover put the matter behind his head for the time being, hockey and the power rushed to the fingertips continuously. Don't look at Dover on the surface, but it's not easy for him to do this. After all, pulling the stars from the universe to some extent has exceeded the currently known power limit of the pirate world. Reached another higher level. The reason why Dover was able to do this was not done overnight. From the first time he met Ace on the desert island of East Blue, this huge plan of destroying everything was formed in his mind. It was on that day that Dover was pulling the stars in the universe with threads almost every moment, moving them little by little, to the sky above Mariajoy. Counting it all up, it has been 2 full years since today. In other words, in order to realize today's plan, in order to form the present situation, Dover does not rely solely on the vision of a traverser who can predict the future, but also on his own perseverance. I might as well tell you a word. Dover stepped on the void and surpassed all beings. The rivers and seas are made up of countless streams, and the distance of 1,000,000 miles can't reach the distance of 2 feet. And the body of a mortal can also be compared to the gods. Dover's voice is magnificent and mighty, sacred and shocking the hearts of the world. People couldn't help holding their breath, looking up at the stalwart figure that seemed to be above the 9 heavens, but also seemed to come from the hell. The stalwart figure moved his fingers, and more than a dozen world-destroying meteorites descended from the distant universe. Just like Shinigami's sickle, just like God's punishment. Accompanied by the magnificent Hong Lu Layan. Now. I am God. Chapter 189 Shocking Past and Present. Red line collapsed. Advertisement. Covered by the sky, the sun's rays are completely obscured. One after another, huge meteorites, from the infinite universe, toward Mariajoy's location, fell at an extremely fast speed. Buzzing. The powerful free-fall motion caused the wind to roar, and the atmosphere was turbulent. It seemed that the space was almost unbearable. People all over the world knelt down involuntarily. They were shaking all over, in fear, toward the sky shouting. This is the power of the gods. This is the punishment given to the world government by the gods, and the destruction given to celestial dragons. Naturally, people of insight knew that it was not the work of a god, but a man. A man named Doflamingo. But how is this power different from gods? As a result, the strong also lowered their originally arrogant heads. They took it, feeling trembling at what Dover had done, and were convinced. If Dover came to collect their territory at this time, they would definitely kneel at the man's feet and swear allegiance. Mariajoy's underground palace. Yimyu's face turned red, and his expression was already in a state of madness. 15 world-destroying meteorites, what does he rely on to stop them? There is no other way. Even Uranus does not have the power of revolving heaven. Despair spread in Eames' heart. I am hoarse his throat and let out a loud roar. Doflamingo, you ruined the achievements of my clan for thousands of years. You've been broken for hundreds of years, this wonderful world that I personally created. You are the most evil celestial dragons ever. You are a traitor to our race. You will be cursed by the devil, sink into the 18th hell, be tortured by fire, and taste the pain of axe, walk, knife and saw. I am going crazy, cursing madly. But Dover, who heard this, didn't even change his expression. His expression was indifferent, like a supreme god, looking down at the incompetent and furious ants in the world. Are you finished scolding? When you finish scolding, please go and die. Immediately, Dover slammed his hands, and the falling speed of the 15 world-destroying meteorites suddenly increased several times. Stabbed. The air screamed. People can't help covering their ears, otherwise the eardrums will be ruptured. Im's whole body was filled with abnormal blood, and then he suddenly laughed nervously. You will regret it, my fellow, Donquixote Doflamingo. This sentence was not full of endless anger and madness as before, but abnormally calm. Dover's heart jumped sharply. For the first time in my life, there was a sense of anxiety. Does that I am still have hidden means? No, it's impossible. If there is, Yim must have used it long ago and will not wait until now. Then why did Yim's tone suddenly become so calm? Do you pretend to scare yourself? It doesn't make any sense. Advertisement. Just when Dover was also puzzled, Im crashed into Uranus's idol. He wants to sacrifice himself to Uranus just like he sacrificed 5 elders just now. Im smiled. Supreme Ancestor, you are the founder of the world, and you are the supreme creator god. Your unscrupulous grandson, will follow you. Please protect me, the immortal soul that has lasted since ancient times. Then, Yim's body was eaten in by the Uranus idol stone. Buzz, buzz. In the void, there seems to be some kind of terrifying existence awakened. It exudes a wild atmosphere, exudes an extremely evil and bloody atmosphere. Immediately, an extremely shocking scene happened. I saw that Uranus idol, as if it were alive, suddenly opened his eyes. Those eyes did not contain the slightest emotion, like cold machinery. The next moment, Uranus opened his mouth suddenly. Naruto. Yidong's golden beam of light came out from his mouth. Looking at that direction, it was not a world-destroying meteorite falling towards the sky. Rather, towards where Dover is. Over Marineford. No, there is no Marineford anymore in the world. The huge island that hosts Marine's headquarters has sunk to the bottom of the sea. The nearly 200,000 marine pirates on it, especially those top powerhouses, do not know their life or death. But Dover had no intention of paying attention to these at this moment, just when Im sacrificed the Uranus idol at his own expense. Suddenly a voice rang in Dover's ear. The voice was vague and uncertain, and it didn't know where it came from. With Dover's observation hockey, the world's crowning observation hockey, it couldn't be traced at all. Is it the breath of all things? One Piece World has the ability to listen to the sound of all things, and One Piece Roger has this ability. When Dover once landed on Zhao Island, he could hear the voice of the Lord and give orders to him. Thinking about it this way, even if Dover also awakens the ability to listen to the sound of all things, it is not impossible. No, that's not the breath of everything. The breath of all things is so weird that I can't even notice it. Just as Dover was meditating, a bright golden beam of light lost at him from Mariajoy. Dover's cold hair was standing upside down. He guessed in an instant that this was Yim's final blow. Yim gave up Mariajoy and chose to kill him. Dodge. No, the speed of this golden beam of light is too fast to be too late. I can only resist it with all my strength. The powerful armament haki, Conqueror's haki, and the emission haki that formed a transparent armor around the body, took shape in an instant. However, just when the golden beam of light was about to hit Dover, the space behind Dover suddenly split, and an inexplicable and terrifying force pulled Dover in. Buzz. The golden beam of light whizzed past. When it dissipated, the place where Dover was standing was already empty. Advertisement. Seeking Flowers 0. Master Young Master. Dover. Brother Dover. Master Joker. See this scene. The officials of the Dressrosa Donquixote family were shocked. Robin, Viola, Monet, Granulated Sugar, Baby 5 and other girls turned pale and pale. Vivi, sitting on Pluton in the middle of the Alabasta Desert, stood up suddenly, trembling. Shirahoshi of the Fishman Island covered her lips, her beautiful eyes filled with tears. And on the sea, the Empress Koya Hancock, who was closest to Dover, had a pretty face that was pale as paper for a moment. Hancock hurriedly jumped up into the air and came to the place where Dover had just been standing. Hancock's head was dizzy, and he passed out and fell from a high altitude into the sea. My Empress. Fortunately, there were soldiers from the daughter country on the ship of Hydra Island, who hurriedly went to rescue. And the reason for the women's panic and fear was naturally that Dover disappeared so quickly that no one could see whether it was pulled into a certain space. In the eyes of them and others, Dover was hit by the Uranus beam and died, leaving no trace of ashes. Not to mention Dover's sudden death, what a huge shock it brought to the world. Just say that the 15 world-destroying meteorites finally descended on Mariajoy. The most noble and noble sacred place in the world that has stood for thousands of years is like a piece of paper, crushed into powder. All the celestial dragons living on it have also been crushed into mud. Mariajoy destruction. But it is not over yet. The huge meteorites that have fallen one after another continue to hit the red line below Mariajoy. Boom boom. Boom boom. A huge shock like a scream. The terrible aftermath caused all the islands and buildings within a radius of thousands of miles to be torn apart. The first to bear the brunt is the Marineg One branch for New World. Smell. This red-haired continent seemed to utter an overwhelmed wailing. Immediately afterwards, the land under the red line burst into a huge crack. Then, the cracks spread to the surroundings like a spider web. Boom. The land base collapsed, and the entire red line collapsed with it. Wow. The sea was splashed with huge waves. Countless sea beasts, even sea kings, are scared to run away. The collapse process lasted for half an hour, and it gradually stopped just now. At this moment, look around again. The red line carrying Mariajoy has sunk into the sea and disappeared. From the perspective of the world as a whole, it is the red line that surrounds the world to form a closed loop, and there is a huge gap. And where the gap is, it happens to be the place separating the first half and the second half of the Grand Line. This terrifying sight. Nothing in the past, shocking past and present. 3. Chapter 190 The Direction of the World, the hidden powerhouses who can't hold back. Advertisement. The red line collapsed, leaving a supergiant Uzumaki in place. The ocean current is turbulent, turning at extreme speed, like a funnel, even things will be sucked in when they are close, and it is difficult to get out. However, although this Uzumaki is dangerous, it is nothing compared to the red line that blocked here before and the Marine headquarters entrenched in the front. In short, the current situation is: the Marine headquarters and the Holy Land Mariajoy were all destroyed, the red line was opened, and the first half and the second half of the Grand Line were connected. If you want to go to New World, you no longer need to pass through the Fishman Island on the bottom of the sea, but just pass through the huge Uzumaki. The people of the world are deeply shocked by this unprecedented scene. Moreover, Lord Doflamingo, who did this amazing feat, raised infinite awe and admiration. However, Lord Doflamingo was hit by the last beam of light from 23 Uranus at the moment he was about to succeed, and he was suspected to be dead. This, people have to sigh deeply. Who would have thought that it would be an exhaustive plan to make 4 emperors marine dumplings and lift up his hands to pick up the stars and destroy the Holy Land, Lord Doflamingo, would actually end up here. The background of the world government is too deep, and there are many secrets hidden in the long river of history, no wonder the Lord. It's just that, in the current world, there is no world government, no marine, no more, Lord Doflamingo, a man who was destined to rule the world, where should the world go? How do you know that all marines must be dead? Not all marines are on Marineford, let alone Marineford sinks into the sea, and those top powerhouses may not die. Even so, the balance of the world has been broken. The original 3 powers, 4 emperors, Marine, and Shichibukai, are all missing. What should we do? I don't know this either. People fell into a state of extreme confusion. The celestial dragons, who were domineering over their heads, are gone. Marine and 4 emperors, who were invincible in the sea, also disappeared. Shichibukai has no marine checks and balances, not to mention The people of the world are so happy that they never have to pay the heavenly gold again. On the other side, I was at a loss as to where the world should go. However, some powerhouses hiding in the darkness suddenly burst out, terrifying spirits in their eyes. Gia, that group of damn it Marines died and wounded, and the world government disappeared in the long river of history. And, that terrible Joker is also dead. From then on, this world is Lousy's world. I don't know the sky thousands of miles away from here. A place covered by dense clouds and mist, Zhongran burst out with a wild laugh. Advertisement. The wild laughter shook the surroundings, and the surrounding clouds were torn apart. The scene in the clouds appeared. It was a huge island floating in the air. In the middle of the island, a tall figure is looking up to the sky and laughing wildly. This person has blonde hair and two swords on his legs, floating in the air as if weightless. This person is the Golden Lion, who is also known as the three legendary pirates along with Roger and Whitebeard. It turned out that Golden Lion has been hiding here secretly since escaping from Impel Down. His original plan was to accumulate strength, first conquer East Blue, and then conquer the world. The biggest obstacle to conquering the world is undoubtedly the Marine, world government, and other four emperors. But I don't want a Joker who suddenly appeared, wiped out these two forces together. How can Golden Lion be unhappy? How can it not be ecstatic? In today's world, who else can be his opponent of Golden Lion? Joker, Lousy really wants to thank you in person. You did a feat that Roger didn't do. Golden Lion Shiki's face was filled with an extremely bright smile. But a pity, you are already dead, alas. He sighed hypocritically, and then laughed again. But it doesn't matter, my Golden Lion will inherit your will and rule the world. The light of infinite ambition came out from his eyes. Golden Lion doesn't want to wait anymore, he doesn't have to wait anymore. His eyes, like a real lion, looked at East Blue. The starting point for world domination begins in Roger's hometown. And there, Dover's subordinates Bellamy, Senor and others are undergoing large-scale expansion and already occupy more than half of the East Blue territory. When Golden Lion couldn't hold back, a hidden sea area. Several warships with Neo written on their flags were sailing on the sea. On the deck of the warship, an old man with purple hair looked in the direction of Marineford with a complicated face. Ms. Zephyr, what should we do next? A girl with long flowing hair came up. It can be known from his mouth that this strong old man was actually the original Marine Admiral, who later formed Neo Marine by himself due to different ideas, Black Arm Zephyr. And the female scientist who looks like a girl is a student of Zephyr, Ain, the regressive fruit ability. Advertisement. Sengoku, Garp, I didn't expect that you Marine will also face this day. Zephyr sighed and clenched his fist tightly. The old man said long ago that in the face of pirates, we should kill them all. Shichibukai must be eradicated. If you don't follow the old man's advice, there will be today's catastrophe. Zephyr's family and students died in the hands of the pirate, and his arm was also chopped off, so Zephyr hated the pirate. Zephyr took a deep breath and his expression became extremely cold. Although the four emperors are missing, there are other pirates in the world, and we are going to kill them all one by one. New World, a turbulent country. Shortly after the destruction of Mariajoy, a war broke out in this country. And to attack this country, it is not the enemy's army, but a man, only one man. However, in the face of such a man, the country's royal family mobilized thousands of troops, but they were all like paper, torn apart by this person. Devil, is that man a devil? I recognize him, he is a real heir of the devil, Douglas Bullet. That's right, the man who attacked a country with one person was the Bullet on the original Roger ship, level with Pluton Rayleigh. Bullet also escaped at 0.3 when Impel Down was destroyed. He did not go to the top of the war, he fled to New World, secretly concerned about the situation on top. When Dover raised his hand to destroy Marine, four emperors, and Mariajoy, Bullet trembled. The long-lost impulse of bloodthirsty surged in his heart. This is a stronger man than Roger. As long as I defeat him, I will be the strongest in the world. Bullet wanted to challenge Dover, but the latter was hit by the Uranus beam of light. How can this be? Why is this? God, are you asking for Lousy? Bullet fell into a state of rage, his eyes were red. He can no longer control his inner desire to kill. Years of training in prison has made Bullet stronger than ever. He rushed into a country like a beast, slaughtered wantonly, and blood flowed into a river. A large country was destroyed for no reason. Chapter 191 Devil Body, The Origin of Devil Fruit. Advertisement. Golden Lion, Zephyr, Bullet will have big moves. The women and subordinates of Dover, all over the world frantically looking for him. Some of the dark forces who had been photographed in Dover's prestige, but had to surrender to Dressrosa, were ready to move and tried to rebel. I was ruthlessly killed by Torpal, Diamante, and Rob Lucci and others who came here. Dressrosa announced. The young master is a god who lives with the sky, the eternal king, who will never die. Sooner or later he will return, Kun is in the world. And to say this is not without reliance. Because the parasite string in Lucci, Guy Saw, Judge and others have not disappeared. Suffice it to say that Dover did not die, but temporarily disappeared. The girls feel a little more at ease, but worry and anxiety are inevitable. Dover is indeed okay. That day, when the Uranus beam of light was about to hit him, he was pulled into a strange space by a mysterious force. It's dark and gloomy here, and there are no 11 fingers in both hands. The breath is gloomy and possesses the coercion of a certain superior. Even Dover felt a lot of pressure. What is this place? Dover murmured. It's a bit like the place where Pluden slept, but it's darker and deeper than there. In my ears, the calling sound that had been echoing in Marineford became more obvious. Dover followed the call, going all the way to the deepest part of the darkness. It is like a cage of infinite hell, like an abyss under the 9 netherworlds. Dover's pupils shrank sharply. I saw that in the infinite hell, in the endless abyss, a huge body was there horizontally. That is a corpse of a demon. The corpse of a demon. The devil's face has been hunted, but he has been dead for many years. Obviously there is no breath, and the call echoing in Dover's ear is clearly transmitted from it. Devil, there really are demons in the world. Advertisement. Dover was surprised, observing the body of this demon, with 2 huge magic horns on top of his head, huge dark wings comparable to mountains, and dark red skin. He knew that he must have extremely terrible power before his death. That is, Dover Green found a wound on the demon's torso. The dark red devil's blood flows out from it. What shocked Dover was that the drop of devil's blood, as soon as it came into contact with the outside air, turned into the shape of a devil fruit. The devil fruit, which is popular in the world and everyone desires, and can gain powerful power when eaten, is actually turned into a drop of devil's blood. No wonder it's called devil fruit, the name is really appropriate. Then, Dover saw that the newly formed devil fruit was sent out of this space by an inexplicable force, and it should have been transmitted to the outside world. Dover looked thinking. It is no wonder that devil fruit has appeared for so many years, but the world cannot find its source in any way, and the appearance of devil fruit is irregular. It turned out to be such a thing. I don't know how long it has been. Another devil fruit appeared. This time, Dover shot a thread from his fingertips before it disappeared and took it into his hand. This fruit is the fruit of Shadow. This should be the ability of Gecko Moria, and the shadow fruit is reborn here, indicating that Moria has died in Marineford. Dover finally understood the mystery of devil fruit at this moment. It was transformed by the blood of the devil, and was transported to somewhere in the world at will, eaten by people, and gained corresponding abilities. Once the capable person dies, devil fruit will be reborn here, teleport to the outside world again, and so on. As for the basis of the artificial devil fruit, it can be explained. The essence of devil fruit is the blood of the devil, which is naturally inseparable from the blood factor. If you can study the blood factor, the mysterious scientist Vegapunk has indeed touched the realm of gods. Speaking of Vegapunk, Dover became more and more interested in this person. Even Mariajoy and Marine headquarters were destroyed. This Vegapunk did not appear from beginning to end. It is really more mysterious than that I'm. However, it may also be that Vegapunk itself does not possess mysterious and powerful strength, and died under the last extinction meteor without the slightest resistance. However, Dover believes that Vegapunk is not dead. How can such a genius with a mind that has surpassed the world for 500 years, die so easily? One day, Dover will meet this man in person. Throwing Vegapunk aside, Dover once again put his mind on the demon body in front of him. According to his speculation, this demon was absolutely comparable to a real god before his death. Advertisement. The devil fruit transformed by a drop of blood is probably an ability possessed by the devil during his lifetime. There was a sudden movement in Dover's heart. Since the blood of the devil is turned into devil fruit, it will be able to gain the corresponding abilities if it is eaten by someone, then drinking the blood of the devil directly has the corresponding effect. As soon as this thought came out, Dover shook his whole body suddenly. This demon body, calling himself to come, wouldn't it be for this purpose? At this moment, the voice in my ear suddenly became clear. The descendants of this seed refine me, merge with me, destroy angels, and rule the world. The voice was ethereal, full of endless wild aura, as if it came from ancient times. Dover Klein was shocked. The voice just now is obviously no longer the devil's corpse, but a certain creature that really exists. The devil who is still alive. It's just that the demon deity doesn't exist in this time and space, but in the ancient times. It is not impossible to leave words in ancient times and send them to the present time and space. The ability of the fruit from time to time can do it. Xiaozi's mother, Kazuki, came from 800 years ago. Dover became clear for a moment. The demon deity should be in ancient times, and he had a foreboding that he would die in the future, so he left a voice here. If there are descendants coming here, they will trigger the ability of time fruit, and transmit that voice from ancient times. What a devil. The methods are really unpredictable. Dover sighed in his heart. Even though he destroyed the world government and the world regarded him as a god, this method was far beyond Dover's ability. This demon is the real god. From the devil's words, an even more shocking conclusion can be drawn. That is, celestial dragons are actually the descendants of demons. The ancestor that Yim said was probably the demon in front of him. But how did the descendants of the devil dominate the world? Who was the angel in his words? I am afraid that more clues are needed to solve these secrets. It must be related to 100 years of blankness, and must be related to the ultimate island Raftel. Chapter 192 My body is a demon, and I have a star power. Advertisement. Let alone the secrets of demons and angels. But Dover is now in a dilemma. That is, whether to refine this demon body in the end. Once refined, Dover will probably instantly gain strength that rivals his life. This also fits with the words left by the devil. But the crux of the problem is that Dover does not believe in this so-called demon. Even if he has the celestial dragon's bloodline, this demon is the ancestor of celestial dragons. If you do what the devil says, you will inevitably encounter some unpredictable risks. Dover had to carefully consider whether the effect of the devil's blood alone was equivalent to another devil fruit. Because Dover has eaten string fruit a long time ago. As everyone knows, pirate world will never eat two devil fruit. But, after all, that is just a taboo for ordinary people. To me, it is not impossible. Dover had a hunch that he would not die from eating two devil fruit. Because his physique is strong enough, because his strength is strong enough. Enough to withstand the energy of multiple devil fruits. Otherwise, this demon's dead body will not only summon him for hundreds of years. Dover is a man with great confidence and vision. Soon, he put away those worries just now. Even if there is a big risk, in order to gain stronger power, this risk is worth taking. It needs to be known that Dover's strength has already reached a bottleneck, and it is almost impossible to make any further progress. The only chance is the demon body in front of me. Phew. Dover did not hesitate anymore, took out a drop of demon's blood, and set about refining. As for the method of refining, in the dark, the voice of the demon from ancient times also told him. That is, he has the power of the devil himself to absorb the power of the devil's blood. The power of the devil possessed by Dover is naturally the power of string fruit. Advertisement. A thin thread touched the drop of demon blood that was taken out. Buzz. A strange feeling surged into Dover's heart. It is as if the power of string fruit has encountered the power of the same clan and genus. Next moment, a surging force suddenly poured into Dover's body. That power is extremely huge, and if you change someone, I am afraid that it will be burst by that power in an instant. After a long time, Dover took a deep breath again. At this time, he had already digested that power, and that drop of devil's blood had also been absorbed by him and disappeared. My current strength has increased by at least 2/3 than before. You know, Dover's original strength is the only one in the pirate world, and it is extremely difficult to add a point. But now it has increased by 2/3 at once, just think about it and know how terrible it is. Sure enough, there is no white adventure. In Dover's dark and deep eyes, a long-term glow flashed through. Ever since, Dover then used a greater degree to refine the devil's body. During the period, due to his physical strength, he almost couldn't bear it and collapsed. But fortunately, with the blessing of the system aura, Dover's body was under tremendous pressure while his physique grew exponentially. Dover closed his eyes and tried his best to refine the devil's body, immersed in the pleasure of soaring strength. Time is like an arrow, and the sun and the moon are like a shuttle. In this dark space, there is no concept of time. I don't know how long it has been. Dover Green opened his eyes. A dazzling white light shot from his eyes, illuminating this dark space as if it were day. And in front of him, the huge demon body that was originally lying in the endless darkness has disappeared without a shadow. Advertisement. Obviously, the body of the devil has been refined by Dover. At this moment, the power that Dover possesses is equivalent to the power of the devil before his death. No, stronger than the devil before his death. Because, while Dover is refining, he is also practicing on his own under the blessing of the system aura. In other words, not only did he completely absorb part of the demon's power, but his own power has also been greatly increased. Words can no longer express how strong Dover is now. I only know that if he were to destroy Mariajoy now, there would be no need to pull the stars in the universe. Dover can destroy Mariajoy and even the entire red line by just flipping his palm. It seems that this is the power of the true gods. If you have to use a quantity value to explain it, it is 1. Explosive star power. With Dover's full strength, the planet where the entire pirate world is located can be beaten with one punch. It's time to leave here. Dover's expression was indifferent. The aura on his body is far from the earlier domineering and prestigious, but strangely ordinary and calm. The strength has reached the starburst level, and the entire pirate world, good money, is all flashing. As for the so-called hockey side leakage, it is reduced to a minor doyle. Dover is now in the realm of returning to the basics. There is nothing more that can affect him. Naruto. JD. Dover stretched out a finger and stroked it into the void. The space let out an overwhelmed whine, and then a huge gap opened. When Dover moved his body, he sank into the gap and left the boundless dark space. And with the departure of Dover, and the demon body is no longer there, this space seems to have finally completed its mission, beginning to collapse, until it completely disappears, as if it never existed. Chapter 193 The Fishman Island, Mermaid Princess Shirahoshi. Advertisement. Tearing the space casually, Dover stepped out and returned to the outside world. But, it was not the sky over the original Marineford, but a crystal palace. The palace is beautifully decorated with a pink hue. The reason why it is shaped like a crystal is not really a crystal, but because the outside world is flooded with seawater and the feeling caused by the sunlight. The Fishman Island. Dover raised his brow. He didn't expect that as soon as he came out, he would arrive at the Fishman Island thousands of miles under the sea. Moreover, looking at the appearance here, it is the Dragon King Palace of the Fishman Island. At this moment, a timid voice came from behind. Who are you? Why do you appear in someone's room? Dover turned and looked at a mermaid who was huge, but not bloated at all, but extremely charming. The mermaid has long pink wavy hair, an extremely stalwart chest, smooth skin, embellished with pearl-like luster. What is more dazzling and admirable is her beautiful, shades of pink fishtail. The fishtail is crystal clear, and the 283 rain scales on it are dazzling, and beautiful. Such a unique in the world, the beauty is not even a mermaid under the Empress Hancock, naturally the mermaid Princess Shirahoshi. After seeing Dover's face, Shirahoshi, who was about to cry in fear, covered her mouth in disbelief. You are the Lord. You are not dead. It's so great. Dover chuckled while admiring the unique beauty of the mermaid princess in front of him. You know me. Shirahoshi's cheeks flushed, and he said timidly. Advertisement. A month ago, I saw your scene on the ground through a video phone worm. Dover nodded, he guessed this too. However, one thing that makes Dover care a little bit is month. It has been a month since I disappeared from Marineford, be bad. There is no concept of time in the dark space. Dover only feels that a moment has passed, while the outside world has already passed a month. Correct. Shirahoshi's big blue eyes couldn't help but look at Dover curiously, but the timidity in her heart also made her very uneasy. Why are you here? Shirahoshi plucked up the courage to ask. In the dark, I have certain fixed numbers, and I will save it for me to come here in the future. Dover said something that Shirahoshi couldn't understand. Seeing Shirahoshi's confused and cute look, Dover couldn't help but smile again. He could see the timidity and anxiety in Shirahoshi's heart. After all, Shirahoshi himself was extremely timid, and he had seen what he did at Marineford. It was a rare act to dare to talk to him. Just when Dover was about to relieve Shirahoshi's inner anxiety, a loud noise suddenly came from the palace gate. The heavy sound of a huge metal crash. Ah! Hearing this sound, Shirahoshi was terrified and buried his face in the quilt, covering his ears, shivering, looking extremely frightened. This ostrich-like posture shows Shirahoshi's flawless body. In particular, Shirahoshi's body is very large, and the visual impact it gives is even more shocking. Dover smiled and looked at Shirahoshi's pretty face under the quilt, and said. Don't be so scared, Shirahoshi. Someone is going to kill me, Lord Dover. Advertisement. Shirahoshi's whining sound came from the quilt. But the next moment, Shirahoshi suddenly lifted his head from the quilt and looked at Dover in surprise. Do you know my name? At this time, Shirahoshi's dreamy blue eyes were still filled with tears, and there were still tears on his white face. The pear blossoms bring rain, and the cold spring drops dew, so pitiful, nothing more than that. Dover smiled slightly, stretched out his big hand, wiped the tears off Shirahoshi's face, and said. You are the most beautiful mermaid princess in the world, with the power of the sea, how could I not know your name? The gentle words and the temperature from the big hands on his face made Shirahoshi stunned. When he came back to his senses, his cheeks immediately appeared flushed, full of shyness and embarrassment. Is anyone so famous? In this way, Shirahoshi's fear just before has been eliminated a lot without knowing it. However, there was a loud noise, and there was another violent metal impact outside the door. Shirahoshi's flower looks pale. Master Dover, get out of here quickly, there is danger here. Dover looked at Shirahoshi amusedly. This silly head, now that he has seen his scene at Marineford, how can he feel that there is still someone in the whole world that can threaten him? The mermaid princess Shirahoshi is too kind. Although she has the terrifying power to command all sea kings, she is as pure as snow and immaculate. Dover sighed and smiled. Let me take a look, the guy whose name seems to be Van der Decken. Shirahoshi was taken aback again. How did Master Dover know that the person who was going to kill her was Van der Deckens? However, Lord Dover, who can do such a unique feat, even if he is an omniscient god, is not so strange. Shirahoshi couldn't help his two big blue eyes, looking at Dover's back with admiration, and then followed carefully. Chapter 194 The Power of Space Fruit, The Power of Dover. Advertisement. A few miles away from Shirahoshi's palace. An ugly tiger shark man with a sly smile. Holding an axe in his hand, throw it out at will. The axe immediately seemed to be conscious, and flew towards the gate of the palace where Shirahoshi lived. He. Van der Decken sneered with a trace of hatred. If you refuse to agree to my marriage proposal, then Lousy will kill you. Since Lousy can't get you, no one will want to touch you. Van der and Decken are capable of target and fruit, so the thrown weapon has the function of automatic positioning. Because of love and hatred, the person wants to kill the white star. Just at Van der, when Decken was about to throw another axe, a sharp-toothed shark man suddenly swam over from a distance. Hey, Van der Decken, are you doing harm to Princess Shirahoshi again? Van der Decken looked back, he said. It turned out to be Hoodie Jones. Why are you here for me? ZD Jones is a generation of Murloc Street leaders after Tiger, Jinbei, and Arlong. He regards humans as enemies and considers fish talents as a high-level race. How did you think about the things I told you last time? Decken. You mean to jointly control the Dragon King Palace, and then order the soldiers of the Fishman Island to attack the land and kill all the humans? Yes, our fish talents are a race that should dominate the world. How can we settle in such a small place and be persecuted by humans? ZD Jones' eyes were full of bloodthirsty rays. Nowadays, the world government collapsed, the marine headquarters was destroyed, and the four emperors Shichibukai all suffered heavy casualties in that war. This is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our Murlocs to regain the land. Van der and Decken, only you are willing to join hands with me. After catching Shirahoshi, Lousy will hand him over to you at your disposal. What you said is true. Van der Decken's heart moved when he heard it. On the one hand, he also agrees with Hoodie Jones' analysis that humans on land have killed and wounded the strong because of cannibalism. This is an unprecedented good time. On the other hand, to get Shirahoshi, Van der Decken is extremely eager. However, The two were discussing a good abacus, but they didn't know that Shinigami's sickle had been placed on their necks. Dover and Shirahoshi left the bedroom. Advertisement. Shirahoshi quickly took out a coral. Master Dover, this is a bubble coral that can block the sea. Except for the bedroom, the entire Dragon King's palace is surrounded by seawater, with the sea outside. Dover smiled faintly. No need. Then, he stepped towards the sea outside. Shirahoshi cried out worriedly. Master Dover, there is danger, you are still demon fruit power. However, the words stopped abruptly before they were finished. Shirahoshi's big blue eyes stared extremely wide, and he looked at the sea outside in shock, and a channel was automatically separated. Wherever Master Dover went, the sea seemed to be conscious and retreated automatically. How so? Shirahoshi's head was full of question marks. Dover stood between the sea, and the water flowing around him would automatically detour within a few meters of him. As if the boundless sea, all expressing surrender like Dover. This is not unimaginable. At this moment, Dover's strength is no different from the gods. The so-called demon fruit power is afraid of the sea, that is because the capable person is not the opponent of the sea. But Dover is above the entire sea. How could sea water work on him? Come. Dover reached out to Shirahoshi with a slight smile. Shirahoshi came back to his senses, his cheeks blushed, and put the white and smooth jade hand on Dover's hand. Next moment, while holding Shirahoshi, Dover stroked the void with one hand. Naruto. A black space crack appeared. Dover led Shirahoshi in, and when he came out, he was already several miles away. It's amazing. Lord Dover, how did you do it? Seeking Flowers 0. Advertisement. Shirahoshi is like a curious baby, with surprise and admiration in his big eyes. You can treat it as yes. Dover thought for a while and said. The power of space fruit. This ability to tear the space between raising your hands and reach another place can indeed be regarded as the power of the fruits of space. The space fruit is equivalent to the upper fruit of the door fruit. The world is so big, no matter where it is, it can be reached in an instant. Curious Star is confused again. But, my lord, aren't you capable of string fruit? After seeing the site of Marineford, Shirahoshi immediately searched for a lot of information about Dover. Dover didn't explain much this time, and scraped Shirahoshi's curvy nose. You really are a curious star. A red cloud rose on Shirahoshi's cheeks, and he lowered his head embarrassedly. In fact, Dover didn't care about any fruit power at this time. After refining the devil, he has far surpassed the single devil fruit ability. He can use any fruit ability. Having said that, the abilities represented by those devil fruits are part of the original power of the devil. How could Dover be unusable? The voice of Dover and Shirahoshi's conversation reached Van der Daken and Hody Jones not far away. Turning his head hurriedly, he happened to see Dover's hand slipping past Shirahoshi's flawless face, and Shirahoshi looked extremely shy. After Daken's initial shock, his chest was instantly filled with monstrous anger. Well, you Shirahoshi, Lousy has proposed to you for so many years, you don't even let Lousy get closer. Now, I actually hooked up with a human. Lousy wants you two bastards, go to hell and be a mandarin duck. Immediately afterwards, Van der and Daken took out more than a dozen axes from behind and threw them at Dover and Shirahoshi. Chapter 195 Close your eyes, Shirahoshi. Advertisement. Van der Daken threw more than a dozen huge axes with boundless anger. The axe was spinning in the sea, as if it had eyes, and flew towards Dover and Shirahoshi. Ah, Shirahoshi was taken aback and let out a scream. Master Dover, it's dangerous. Shirahoshi was too courageous, and his face was pale. Gia, go to hell. Van der Daken laughed wildly. However, the next moment, the smile on his face stopped. I saw that the dozen or so huge axes were more than 10 meters away from the two opposite people. Suddenly stopped moving, and then it seemed to be under some kind of great pressure, but it broke with a click and turned into ashes. Impossible. That, 287, is an axe made of steel. Van der Daken's eyes were about to bulge out, and they couldn't believe their eyes. And many more. Just now Shirahoshi called that man Master Dover. Could it be that? Van der Daken suddenly remembered something, and finally looked carefully in the direction of Dover. Immediately, his face became extremely pale. At this time, Hody Jones let out a horrified cry. It's Doflamingo, the man who destroyed the world government. Not dead. Van der Daken and Hody Jones, there was endless chill in their hearts. A month ago, both of them used the video phone worm to see the man opposite, in Marineford and Mariajoy, that looked like a god. It's this man who has caught Kun Marine and 4 emperors, who are facing the sea. It was this man who destroyed the world government that has ruled the world for nearly 1,000 years, and even the Holy Land Mariajoy. It was this man, even Red Line collapsed because of it. Advertisement. And just now, the reason why Van der Daken and Hody Jones dared to discuss, attack the land and killed all the human beings. It was also because Dover basically destroyed the strong and powerful forces on the land. They thought that Dover died under the last Uranus beam. But now, Van der Daken and Hody Jones are very clear that the man who was like a demon is not dead at all. Even the ultimate blow of ancient weapon Uranus failed to kill that man. How can Van der Daken and Hody Jones not panic? The two couldn't help but glance at each other, and both saw the endless horror in each other's eyes. Since this man is still alive, it means that their plan to attack the land just now is pure fantasy and impossible to achieve. And they have no doubts, replacing the world government and becoming the next world ruler is definitely the man in front of them. What to do? Run away. Van der Decken panicked completely. Thinking that he actually threw an axe at the killer just now, he couldn't help fighting twice, and his voice trembled. Hody Jones also had teeth trembling. Escape. How can we escape in front of that man? Yes, even the masters of Marine Admiral, 4 emperors, and celestial dragons are not opponents of that man, so what are they? Then let's kowtow for mercy. Van der Decken said hurriedly. No, lousy never. Hody Jones' eyes were bloodshot, and even though his heart was filled with endless fear, he still refused to give up. As a noble Murloc, how can we kneel down and beg for mercy from a human? I won't save my life, and what's the point of this? Van der Decken scolded. Hody Jones tried his best to calm down and said with a brutal face. We don't necessarily die, Deacon. We are Murlocs, and here is 1,000 miles under the sea. And no matter how strong the opponent is, it will eventually be a human or demon fruit power, and it will not be able to exert its strength at the bottom of the sea. Dendy. Jones felt a trembling excitement as he talked about it. Maybe, we can be here and kill that man. What did you say? Advertisement. Van der Decken's eyes widened, and he looked at Hody Jones in disbelief, feeling whether the other party was mad. Even men who can't beat Marine 4 emperors and world government, how can they kill each other? But if you think about what Hody Jones said carefully, this is thousands of miles under the sea. After all, that man is a devil fruit capable person, maybe even 1% of his strength on land can't be used. The most important thing is, with the strength of that man, they would die if they flee, and would die if they didn't. Why not? Fight to the death. Van der Decken was moved by Hody Jones, and said fiercely. Okay, kill him. I don't believe it, how strong he can be in the ocean. The two were humiliated, and Hody Jones suddenly took out dozens of red pills from his arms. Eat them, our chances of winning will be even greater. This is the evil medicine of the Fishmen Island, which can give people dozens of times stronger power in a short period of time. But the price is the lifespan of the overdrawn person. But at this moment, where can I take care of so much? D&D Jones, Van der Decken each ate 20 or 30 poisons, their muscles bulged, and their skin was abnormally scarlet. Gia. This powerful force, even if God comes, he will die. God blocks and kills gods, demons block and kill demons. 0.3 inches you are just a mere human being. Under the influence of the evil drug, Van der Decken and Hody Jones completely lost their minds. Roaring, rushed towards Dover frantically. Master Dover, they look terrible. Shirahoshi hid behind Dover subconsciously. Dover smiled faintly. Close your eyes, Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi closed his eyes obediently. But in the next second, Dover let him open his eyes. Let's go to the palace and meet your father, King Neptune. Dover touched Shirahoshi's colorful and beautiful fish scales and said. Shirahoshi's eyes widened, and he looked around in surprise, but he didn't notice a single shadow. Then what about those two bad guys? Chapter 196 Jinbei's Shock. Advertisement. Original. Van der Decken and Hody Jones, even if they took the poison, their strength increased hundreds of times. But the power gap with Dover is still unreasonable. Dover only leaked a trace of hockey, crushing the two into blood mud in a second, and the bloody traces were also washed away by the sea. He just told Shirahoshi to close his eyes just because he didn't want the pure Shirahoshi to see the bloody scene. The two returned to the Dragon King Palace. Dover wants to meet King Neptune and talk about the future of the Fishmen Island. The Fishmen Island has always had the desire to return to land to survive, but because of fear of humans, he dare not do that. But with Dover here, everything is not a problem. What? When there was still a considerable distance from the Neptune Palace, Dover's brow raised his brow and he sensed an unexpected character. Didn't he die at Marineford? When Dover took Shirahoshi into the Neptune Palace, he saw several people standing on the main hall. One side is naturally Neptune, his son Shark and others. There is only one person on the other side, Hexia Jinbei. Jinbei fled from Impel Down at first, but also went to Marineford, standing on the side of Whitebeard to rescue Ace, and was finally besieged by Dover's black birdcage. And when Dover delivered the final blow, destroying Mariajoy. Marineford has been sunk into the sea by Whitebeard and others. Although the marine pirates on it have been killed and wounded countless, many strong men have dived into the sea to find alive. At that time, Dover was also doing his best to deal with Im's backhand, and did not pay much attention to the bottom. Like Jinbei, the sea is the strong Murloc at home, and it is not difficult to imagine escaping from the bottom of the sea. I just don't know how many people escaped. Shirahoshi, where did you go just now? Father is anxious to death. Neptune complained as soon as he saw Shirahoshi. But the next moment, the expression on his face suddenly solidified and became extremely hard. Advertisement. I saw a figure floating beside my daughter. The sea water evaded and gave way automatically in front of that figure, and the fishes in the entire palace were extremely quiet at this moment, praying in one direction, as if they were welcoming their king. That is, Neptune includes the eldest son Shark and others, and their pupils shrink sharply. Donquixote, Doflamingo, that man is still alive. The boundless shock and fear rushed to my heart together. What's wrong? What happened? Jinbei looked at the reactions of Neptune and the others in a puzzled manner. He was facing the direction of the palace gate with his back. Princess Shirahoshi returned. She should be happy. Why does she look like this? Jinbei was puzzled and turned to look. Immediately afterwards, he showed the same horrified expression as Neptune and others. Doflamingo, you are not dead. Jinbei yelled in amazement. He is stronger than Neptune and others, barely escaped from the shock, and raised a fist. Since you are alive, why do you come to the Fishman Island again? Could it be that you not only want to destroy the world, but also the Fishman Island? While yelling, the shock in my heart became more and more intense. Because Dover appeared behind him just now, and he didn't feel it. But at this time, the other party was clearly standing in front of him, and Jinbei's experience told him that there was no one in front of him except Princess Shirahoshi. There is only one explanation for this weird situation. That is one. The gap between his Jinbei and that man is so big that he is not even qualified to sense each other. Impossible. Advertisement. When I was at Marineford, even if the old man knew that there was a huge gap in strength, he wouldn't even be able to sense it. Unless, that man's strength, during this period of time, has skyrocketed to a level that I can't imagine. The more I think about it, the more I feel scared, the more I think about it, the more I feel throbbing. But Jinbei deserves to be the man in the original book who does not change his face in the face of the ant's soul and yells, "For emperors." Even though his heart was shocked, Jinbei's face still looked like he was going to die calmly. Death, for Jinbei, is not terrible. The scary thing is that he doesn't know the plan of the man opposite, or what fate the Fishman Island and even the whole world will usher in because of the man opposite. Shao Hexia Jinbei, it's been a long time since I saw you. Dover stood with his hand in his hand and said faintly. Don't be so nervous, I have no malice towards the Fishman Island. Not only that, I am here to help the Fishman Island resolve the conflict with mankind for thousands of years. What did you say? Jinbei 287's eyes widened, and he couldn't believe his ears. The swordsman who destroyed Marineford, Mariajoy, Red Line, and killed countless people was so kind to the Fishman Island. Master Doflamingo, Jay ran. Before Jinbei could respond, Neptune's 3 sons, Shaxing and others, actually knelt down towards Dover, and said with joy. You killed celestial dragons. You are the savior of the Fishman Island and the world. We, the Fishman Island, are willing to follow you to the death. You. Jinbei looked at Shark in disbelief. Neptune sighed and said. What Master Doflamingo did in the sky above Marineford, we can see clearly through the video phone worm. Although it has brought unprecedented shocks to the world, it is a good thing for us, the Fishman Island. Quote. Jinbei's body was shaking again. At this time, Shirahoshi's timid voice rang. Master Dover is a good man, and he just saved someone. Chapter 197 Current World Situation. Advertisement. Jinbei almost suspected that there was a problem with his eyes and ears. As soon as the man showed up, the royal family of the Fishman Island expressed surrender and obedience to him at the same time. Since you are willing to follow me, I will naturally give you the Fishman Island a bright future. Dover smiled slightly. Thank you, sir. Shark and others hurriedly bowed their thanks, and even Neptune bowed their hands. Jinbei clenched his fists, wondering why the royal family believed in such a swordsman so much. Even though the man's strength is extremely powerful, the she can be killed and cannot be humiliated. With that man's cruel heart, how can he ensure that he will not harm the Fishman Island? Your Majesty Neptune, Prince Shark, Princess Shirahoshi, you trust this man too much. What terrible things this man will do to the Fishman Island in the future is simply unpredictable. Immediately, Jinbei glared at Dover and asked, what are you going to do with the Fishman Island? Dover Yun was light and breezy, and said lightly. The Fishman Island is also time to live on the ground. How does that work? Jinbei flushed and said angrily. The conflict between fish people and humans is not a day or two, and the world is so turbulent, Halfway through, Jinbei Berry Land stopped, a little dazed. What he said does exist, but what meaning does it have for the man in front of him? Advertisement. This is a terrible existence that even world government is not an opponent. With the protection of this man, who in the world dares to violate the Fishman Island again? Even more offensive, after this man returns to the ground, the whole world will be under his control. Thinking of this, Jinbei was like a frustrated ball. He lost all his anger and confidence and stood still. Jinbei, you don't need to worry too much. With Lord Doflamingo here, no one dares to feel bad about the Fishman Island. Speaking of this, Neptune also bowed down to Dover and said sincerely. Thank you, sir, for fulfilling our wish for the Fishman Island for thousands of years. On behalf of all the people of the Fishman Island, I would like to express my supreme gratitude and loyalty to you. Neptune knocked 3 heads and said. However, the citizens still need the old man to explain clearly. I am afraid it will take some time. Dover nodded, and the Fishman Island didn't have to be too eager to return to the ground. What's more, he also needs some effort to clear up the chaos on the ground. Dover turned to Jinbei and asked. Jinbei, how is the world situation now? How many people escaped from Marineford that day? Jinbei came back to his senses. He knew that the Fishman Island had no room for him to intervene. While his heart was dispirited, he could not help but feel that perhaps this was really a good thing for the Fishman Island. Therefore, Jinbei's hostility towards Dover was not as big as the net at the beginning, and he said. The world situation today is more chaotic than before. Advertisement. Because of the disappearance of the world government, and you disappeared from the sky above Marineford that day, the world thinks Thudded, people are fighting for new world hegemony. And because of the disappearance of the red line blocking the first half and the second half of the Grand Line, countless pirates of all sizes have poured into the New World. However, they no longer need to pass through the Fishmen Island, which is an unprecedented good thing for the Fishmen Island. There are even more hidden powerhouses who also appeared in the chaos of the world, robbed of territory and carried out their ambitions. Like the great pirate Golden Lion Shiki, who has been dormant for decades, Roger's former crew member Douglas Bullet, and the former Marine Admiral Black Arm Z. Jinbei said so much at once, which shows how chaotic the current world is. However, Dover's expression has always been calm, and these chaos, for him at this time, are all trivial matters, which can be wiped out by turning the palm of his hand. Quote. As for Marineford sinking into the sea that day, your birdcage weakened under the sea, and it was destroyed by the fruitless top powerhouses such as Garp. Many powerhouses took the opportunity to run out. Papa Whitebeard, Red Hair, Kaido, Auntie, 4 emperors have suffered a heavy loss, but none of them is deadly. Sengoku, San Admiral, etc. also survived on Marine. Dover's head slightly, he was not as strong as he is now, and if he doesn't go all out to control Birdcage, he will indeed not be able to trap those top powerhouses. It is reasonable for them to escape. I just don't know whether Naim is still alive. Jinbei continued. Marine, headed by Sengoku, Kong, and Garp, has established a temporary world government and drafted troops in an effort to reorganize the world order. But this matter is so difficult. Without 5 elders, and without the authority of the world government, the countries that joined the former world government are not willing to obey the orders of the interim government. Moreover, these countries have their own ambitions, and they are also fighting. Expand the site. Sengoku was disheartened, coupled with the Marineford incident, so he took the blame and resigned and retired behind the scenes. Now Marine's new marshal is Akainu Sakazuki. Chapter 198 Chaotic Situation. Advertisement. Akainu. Dover's eyes flickered slightly, and it seemed that the development of the situation had something in common with the original book. After all, Akainu Sakazuki was the upper marshal marine. So, what about Aokiji Kuzan? Has he left the Sea Army? Jinbei was surprised and shocked, and nodded. Originally, Sengoku and others preferred Aokiji to be Marine Marshal, but the current world situation is so chaotic, Marine is in unprecedented difficulties, and there are many voices supporting Akainu, who is a hardliner. Akainu proposed a duel with Aokiji, and the winner became the Marshal. However, Aokiji said that he no longer had any hope for Marine and the world government, and voluntarily withdrew from the competition and left Marine. No one knows where Aokiji is now. Dover nodded. In the end, it is still very different from the original work. Aokiji is a moderate reformer, and Akainu is an extreme hardliner. The current situation is indeed that the Akainu superior is better for Marine. Presumably Aokiji also 287 understood this point before voluntarily quitting. Bar. In addition, more importantly, it should be that Aokiji learned of the existence of the owner of 5 elders, Yim, and completely gave up on the hypocritical world government. The current situation in Marine is that Sengoku, Kong, Garp and other elders are behind the scenes. Akainu is the marshal, Kizaru and the world conscription are promoted to the Green Bull of Admiral. The former Alabasta base chief Virgo is promoted to Admiral. Marine Admiral, take command of Marine's overall situation. From Jinbei's words, we can know that the Green Bull who should have become Admiral with Fujitora in the original book has already been recruited by Marine ahead of time. But Fujitora didn't join Marine. Where is this person now? Advertisement. As for Virgo's superior admiral, it was as early as Dover expected. According to Dover's original plan, it was to let Wilgo take the position of admiral and disintegrate Marine from the inside. But now it is not necessary. With Dover's strength at this moment, Marine is no longer enough to threaten. Jinbei glanced at Dover suddenly, his eyes revealed a deep admiration. There are some things related to you. Your original subordinates have almost conquered East Blue and North Blue. However, the Golden Lion suddenly came over East Blue and attacked your subordinates. North Blue also has bullets. Oh, Dover's eyes were slightly mimicked, and Jinbei couldn't help but feel a chill in his eyes. It seems that some hidden Gyuki snake gods can't sit still in this month when he is absent. Jinbei continued, including your base camp, Dressrosa, Kaido and Ant are also attacking with hatred, but their subordinates suffered heavy casualties at Marineford, and their power is not as good as before. Kaido and Andy went to the top war because of Dover. They originally wanted to destroy Be Bad Marine, or sell Dover to Marine. But I don't want them all to be calculated by Dover. With such monstrous hatred, since Kaido and the Ant have survived, it is unreasonable not to retaliate. The corner of Dover's mouth could not help but evoke an endless sneer. Advertisement. If these 2 bugs hide in the end of the world, Dover might let them go, and since they are so stupid to come to the door, they just crush them to death. Jinbei saw the sneer at the corner of Dover's mouth, and a chill raged in his heart. If it is an ordinary person, there are so many terrible enemies such as Kaido, Ant, Golden Lion, Bullet, etc., attacking oneself, I am afraid that they will be scared to death. But for the man in front of him, it is the other person who should be afraid and fearful. If Golden Lion and Kaido knew that this man was still alive, they would definitely regret their actions. Jinbei sighed inwardly, and said again, although they are coming, your subordinates are also strong, and it seems that some unknown strong will join, blocking Golden Lion and Kaido. This remark surprised Dover. Although Dover's men are indeed much stronger than the original, only a few of them have reached the level of the top powerhouse. Virgo counts as one, and the senior cadres of the Donquixote family can barely count as one, and Crocodile, Shiryu and others who came out of the 6th floor of Impel Down are also counted as one. Besides, Aokiji, Hawkeye, are they finally willing to invest in themselves? Dover couldn't help but become quite curious. It seems that 1 month later, the current world is indeed quite different from before. Chapter 199 Mysterious Meteorite, Frozen Kaido. Advertisement. Dover did not stay in the Fishman Island for a long time. When the Fishman Island was ready to return to land, he would come back again. Before leaving, he went to see Adam, the mysterious treasure tree that brought life and sunshine to the Fishman Island. Adam, the treasure tree, spread the sun's rays thousands of miles under the ocean floor, and provided countless oxygen, chi in the ocean floor with one breath and one inhalation. Dover looked at the treasure tree Adam, who was so ignorant. A breath of sacred light spread from him, which was completely opposite to the demon body breath he refined. Presumably, this treasure tree Adam should belong to the ancient times, planted by the hostile forces of demons. The forces that are hostile to the devil are angels. By the way, the residents of Sky Island also have 2 white wings behind them, which resemble angels. Maybe they are descendants of angels. Dover could feel that the ultimate secrets of these worlds were not far away from him. Therefore, Dover is not in a hurry, and will solve some small problems in the world first. Saying goodbye to Shirahoshi with a reluctant gaze in his beautiful eyes, Dover flicked his finger in the void, a gap in the space opened, and Dover's figure flashed in and he went in. Dressrosa. The cadres of the Tangahide family are basically on the first island chain under the jurisdiction of Viola. At the beginning, Dover set up this first island chain as Dressrosa's first defense, and Viola's ability to stare at the fruit was enough to spot enemies thousands of miles away. And at the moment, Osno Palace, Viola, dressed in a palace dress, sat on the throne. The honey-colored skin is smooth and delicate, the red lips are bright, and the eyes are fascinating. In the past few years, this once beautiful Violet has become more plump and moving. But right now, Viola's eyebrows were tightly frowning, and his brown eyes were using clairvoyance. How about Kaido and Auntie, 2 bastards, haven't they left yet? Torapal asked. Wei Oro shook his head. Diamante said bitterly. What shit for emperors, in Marineford, it is not like a mouse, ramming around in the young master's birdcage. Now the young master is away, I dare to go to Dressrosa to show off. Advertisement. Monet and the other women also sighed. If the young master is still in Dressrosa, even if only a trace is present, Kaido and the ant will never dare to attack Dressrosa. Just let's take the initiative and kill them both, old immortals. Diamante stood up angrily. No, Monet's cold voice sounded. The other party is after all too powerful for emperors. We can hold this place thanks to the meteorite of that mysterious man. Monet wore a black dress. Even though Dressrosa was almost one person and more than 10,000 people, she was still dressed as a secretary and always regarded herself as Dover's servant. But outsiders don't think so, even the highest cadre of the family like Diamante, in their hearts are mutual frustration. After all, when Dover was away, Dressrosa's affairs were handled by Monet. In addition, everyone knew that Monet, like Viola, was a young master's woman. In other words, who is the person who used meteorites to help us? Torapal asked. Everyone shook their heads. When Kaido and Auntie attacked, there would always be a lot of huge meteorites in flames falling from the sky, breaking Aunt Kaido's fleet, making the opponent attack for almost a month without any progress. And at the moment, on the desert island 10 miles away from the Osno kingdom, Kaido and Auntie are furious. Hateful. If it weren't for the meteorite, Lousy would have scored in Dressrosa. Kaido was angry, his fist squeaked. The ant also shouted angrily. Blame that joker, let most of my old lady's men die in Marineford. Speaking of his subordinates, Kaido almost couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of old blood, and took a sip of alcohol. When he and his aunt attacked Marineford, they brought almost all the elite troops under their hands. Seeking Flowers 0. Advertisement. And even though they escaped from Marineford, the forces accumulated for decades under their hands were completely damaged. It led to a Dressrosa, and got together but only got a dozen medium-sized ships. What makes Kaido so angry is that the ants' base camp, Wanguo, is still intact, but his Kaido lair Wanokuni was also taken away by the Joker B***************. D. Even Confidant Admiral Jack is dead. Kaido's hatred for Dover has already reached his bones, and he can't wait to eat his flesh and eat his bones. This war against Dressrosa was also caused by Kaido's first instigation of Auntie. Kaido not only wants to retaliate against Dover and kill the people under Dover, but also to take Dressrosa as his own as his new base. Kaido is still thinking about the man-made devil fruit factory in Dover, which is one of the fundamental reasons why he gave up Wanokuni and turned to attack Dressrosa. Of course, it is also because Wanokuni is easy to defend and difficult to attack. With Kaido's current forces, under the guard of Shaozi, the Elephant Master, Odin retainers, Pika and others, it is impossible to defeat Wanokuni. The more Kaido thinks about it, the more intense it becomes. If it weren't for the Joker, his dignified beast Kaido, how could he end up like a bereaved dog today? Snapped. Kaido suddenly slammed the wine gourd in his hand to the ground, and uttered a thunderous roar to the sky. Joker, if you are still alive, Lousy must make you worse than dead. The shouts shook the sky, shocking the birds on the desert island to escape everywhere, even the rocks cracked. Oh, is it so? Suddenly, a faint voice rang out of the void without warning. So, how do you want me to die than life, Kaido? Next moment, a stalwart figure like a god appeared above Aunt Kaido's head. The expression on Kaido's face instantly freezes like a zombie. 3. Chapter 200. A little loach Kaido, a big mother with a broken balloon. Advertisement. The figure that suddenly appeared in the void, who was Dover who hadn't jumped from the Fishman Island. Dover stood with his hands in his hands, his eyes were indifferent, and the corners of his mouth had a hint of sarcasm. And Kaido, who was still furious and ranting just now, suddenly became dumbfounded, and couldn't believe his eyes. Kaido rubbed his eyes vigorously, and the terrifying man he hated and feared in his heart was still not far away. Joker, you are not dead, Kaido yelled out, his tone stuttering. The ant also jumped up from her seat suddenly and said with a sharp corner. Ju Ling, Oak, are you a man or a ghost? Didn't you die on Marineford? The four emperors were originally looking for Dover to take revenge aggressively. After all, the reason they came to attack Dressrosa was because they thought Dover was dead. Xiao Duo, Dover sneered, I'm not dead, you are disappointed. Don't you want me to avenge you? The ant and Kaido froze in place suddenly, the two subconsciously looked at each other, and the thoughts in their minds turned extremely fast. Yes, they want revenge on Dover. I even want to peel off Dover's cramps. But that is based on the premise that Dover is dead. And if the other party is not dead at all, Kaido and the ant will not actually come to seek revenge even if they hate and get angry again. It was because of Dover's black birdcage the day that a huge shadow was created in the hearts of the two. They are not sure that they won Dover, let alone revenge. Advertisement. The minds turned so fast, Kaido and the ant both thought that it was not the time to start with Joker, and immediately both of them showed awkward smiles on their faces at the same time. Joker, you misunderstood us. How could we avenge you? You made Kamui at Marineford and destroyed Marine and Mariajoy. Today's world government is an empty shell, which can be destroyed by a single click. Joker, why don't we cooperate again to completely destroy the world government? Kaido and the ant are not shameless, they open their eyes and talk nonsense, and the purpose of this trip has become to cooperate with Dover. In the eyes of the two, there have never been eternal friends in this world, only eternal interests. Fighting with Dover is not good, but I am afraid that it is difficult to protect myself. On the contrary, if the alliance with Joker is not considered, it is good for both parties, and it is even enough to control the world. In the current world, the world government is empty. Whitebeard and Redhead have suffered heavy casualties at Marineford. Other tricky characters are unlikely to be the opponents of his team and Joker. Therefore, in Kaido, a hero like Joker will definitely play stupid like him, expose the matter, and seek the maximization of benefits. I have to say that Kaido and Auntie are thinking very well. If the average person faces the choice of opposing the four emperors or the alliance, I am afraid they can only choose the latter. However, they greatly underestimated Dover. The Dover at this time is far from the Dover of a month ago. The so-called four emperors, from their point of view, are nothing more than stronger ants. Dover laughed without shyness. You two are either four emperors who have been in front of the sea for decades, or so faceless and skinless, interesting. But, it's a pity that you two are not qualified to talk about alliances with me with a little loach and a broken balloon. In Dover's words, Kaido, which can be transformed into a blue dragon, was called a little loach. And the physique is stronger than Kaido, and the ant who is named as the steel balloon is a broken balloon. Kaido and Auntie were so angry that they couldn't bear it anymore. Advertisement. It is tolerable, which is unbearable. After all, they are the overlord of one party, how can the four emperors who are overpowering the sea endure such humiliation? Kaido let out a thunderous rage. Zongtian jumped, transformed into a huge blue dragon, and rushed to the cloud. Joker, since you are so arrogant, then lousy and your new and old accounts today, let's forget it together. Oh, the ant was also very angry and grinned. Napoleon, who was entwined with flames, had a huge Zeus thundercloud under her feet, which was also flying in the sky. Joker, we are all in the air now, and your birdcage is useless. I see if you have any abilities. Kaido and the ant are not fools either, staying on the island, maybe they will be trapped by Dover's black birdcage. They all have the ability to fight in air, so they all flew to the sky. Speaking of it, this is indeed a reasonable tactic. But unfortunately, in the eyes of Dover at the moment 0.3, it is just a trick for children to play house. Dover raised a hand faintly, and a playful voice came from the air. Even if the loach rolls in the clouds, it is also a loach. Even if the balloon flies into the sky, it is just easier to be punctured. An inexplicable terrifying force fell on the ant and Kaido from afar. The expressions of the two suddenly changed, just when they were about to act. The ant's head suddenly separated from her neck. And Kaido's huge blue dragon body suddenly broke into two pieces from the middle.